YouTube, and of course TikTok. Give me about 60 seconds.
And religion. So moving on, all of this is within the First Amendment, by the way. We haven't even gotten to the second of the five rights you're likely to lose under Trump. And there's two honorable mentions at the end of that. Religion. Freedom of religion is yet another. Now, President Trump in his first term talked about a total and complete ban on all Muslims entering the country. He became unpopular, so he limited it down somehow to suggesting he only meant some nations that were sponsors of terrorism. But in the beginning, he said a total and complete ban on all Muslim nations from entering America. You think they're letting Muslims in the country right now? Do you think if a Muslim wanted to come in this country under asylum or some type of visa, you think the Trump administration would be friendly to that? So when we say freedom of religion, not only going after religions like the Muslim religion, but they're also starting to slowly but surely force Christianity upon the American populace, whether it's forcing it in the anthem or the pledge, whether it is forcing it in schools, several states already, Oklahoma.
Okay, good evening, folks. Leticia James just got the fuck around and find out as FAFO. You did it backwards, but yes, Leticia James has officially been indicted, and I wasn't even going to come live this early, but I do want to go ahead and start the show. Let me go ahead and click on my, shit just always want to mess up when you're ready to go live. Oh, I got to switch over to Wi-Fi, so bear with me. But Leticia James, I don't know. Is anybody surprised? I guess I would ask. Did the indictment that's been handed down to Leticia James, did it surprise any of you folks? Because I'm assuming all of you are aware that only a few weeks ago, President Trump took to social media. If I can find the actual, he tweets so many things out, but he took to social media recently, and I don't see where I even had a damn tweet. I hate when I start a show and I don't have shit ready to go. Here it is. Pam, talking to Pam Bondi. I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Adam? What about Comey? Adam Shifty Schiff, Leticia. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past. So he sends this message out to Pam Bondi, maybe a couple of weeks ago, saying it ends by saying they impeached me. He ends it by saying we can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President Donald J. Trump. Within a couple of weeks of him sending this message out, Comey and Leticia James have both been indicted, and you gotta assume Adam Schiff is going to get indicted. I don't think there's anybody at this point that believes they're not going to go after Adam Schiff next. So I guess the first question we're going to ask flat out is, do you believe President Trump has a hit list? Do you believe he has a hit list? In other words, people that he perceived that have done him wrong, or it could just be people he don't like. It doesn't have to necessarily just be people he has perceived to do him wrong. I mean, like, let's say, for instance, this Super Bowl talent, Bad Bunny, that's going to be at the Super Bowl. If that guy starts saying negative things about President Trump, is it possible that he may also be targeted? Now, Trump has already, you've already heard the rumors that they're going to have the ICE officials at the Super Bowl. Why do you think that's happening? You think if they had Luke Bryant at the Super Bowl, ICE would be there? You think that was not announced for a specific reason because Bad Bunny is there? So I'm asking, do you believe President Trump has a hit list? And if so, in addition to Adam Schiff, which I think is a given at this point, I believe Adam Schiff is a given at this point. In addition to Adam Schiff, who else do you think may be on President Trump's hit list? Ambassador Bolton? Is there any love for Nancy Pelosi? I guess Hillary Clinton's kind of out of the crosshairs at this point. Her situation is aged. But do you believe there may be other people on some sort of virtual hit list that exists in Trump's camp? Jeremy says, get them, boys. Well, that's what's happening with Leticia James now being indicted. Now, by way of yes or no in the comments, how many of you people think that as opposed to going after Leticia James for actually breaking a crime, that this is indeed revenge for President Trump? Yes or no? Do you think this is actually revenge? If it's type no, if you think she just committed a crime and she's being prosecuted as normal. But if you think it's in revenge for President Trump, type yes. I'm curious to see how many folks believe that this is not revenge for President Trump. Got a couple of them in there, a couple of them that think she would have been indicted anyway. Keep in mind the individual that was told to indict her before resigned from his job, and then they put somebody else in there and they went ahead and indicted Leticia James. So think she'll do any time behind bars? Think she'll be convicted? Do you think Comey, let me turn my News Nation down, which is playing in the background. Do you think former FBI head Jim Comey will do any time behind bars? Or is it possible that this is just done for frustration possibility? For frustration purposes, cost them a fortune in legal fees, get them a host of nights of sleepless, staring at the ceiling insomnia. Perhaps what Trump went through when he was indicted, just a revenge play. Now that I'm in power, I'm going to make them feel what I felt. I'm going to make them pay the way I did. I'm going to make them suffer like they made me suffer. Just a sheer play at revenge. So we're going to talk about it from that standpoint. Red Boy says, what do you think, Uncle Tom? I'm assuming he's offering a compliment. He doesn't offer any response to the actual question himself. He just reflects it back, I suppose, with some sort of a compliment or pseudo insult. But anyway, Red Boy, let me know what you think as we ask. Looking in the comments, there's no property tax on Mars. What are you saying there, Paul? No property tax on Mars. In addition to discussing whether this is a revenge play and what's happening to Leticia James, and I see Sleeper 1969 says Leticia ran on indicting Trump. I believe that is true, but Trump ran on not being vengeful. So Trump did tell Sean Hannity he would not be a president of retribution. So do you still believe that? Do you think he told the truth to Sean Hannity? When Sean Hannity asked him, was he going to be a president of retribution? Do you think he told the truth when he said no? Because that is what he did say. Every prosecutor they got to look at this case said that there was nothing to go on. Yeah, Zachary, that's what I believe they said the same thing about Comey as well. Trump fired the people who said there was nothing to go on and found somebody who would do it. So, but do you think this is actually going to make it through the courts and actually result in the conviction of Comey or Leticia James? Do you think they're going to actually get them? Also, who else do you believe is on the hit list? Who else do you believe is on the hit list? In addition to Adam Schiff, who came out in Trump's actual truth post. He actually said, go after Comey, go after Leticia James, go after Adam Schiff. So far, 2 of the 3 has been indicted. I'm going to say it's almost certain that Adam Schiff is going to be dealing with this as well. But who else? Who else might be on the list? I'm going to suggest Ambassador Bolton is probably there. I think Biden gave Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger from the January 6th committee, I think he gave them a pardon. But definitely Adam Schiff. Who knows what else is out there? I see, Jeremy, you said Leticia James is cooked. Let's see what happens. So in addition to this, I also want to play something for you folks that I saw on a left-wing site, but it doesn't matter what site had it because it is President Trump's own words. And I just want to ask you folks your opinion on this. This was on Brian Tyler Cohen's platform. Big liberal platform. He got over almost 5 million subscribers, but we're not going to play his opinion on it at all. We're not going to play Brian Tyler Cohen's opinion on this at all. We're just going to play President Trump's words because I want to get your opinion on this.
And said this.
We've made it 1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. I've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at.
Now, you heard him say the actual quote, we took freedom of speech away. Now, we've been having debates here and conversations here for God knows how long with folks that are adamant that you're not losing rights under President Trump. That's an actual quote from the commander-in-chief. We took freedom of speech away. I don't know how you can state it any clearer than that. That's exactly what he said.
We've made it 1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But
so you hear him say we took it to the courts. The court says you have freedom of speech. Then he says but, and then he gives his reason for taking it away. How does that work? How does that work for folks who suggest we're not losing any rights under President Trump? Why is he saying we're taking away your freedom of speech? Think about that. Think about that. Now, I did a video. You might have heard it playing when I was queuing up my show, and it's titled 5 Rights You're Likely to Lose Under Trump. And that's one of the ones I press is that you're likely to lose freedom of speech because Trump has been pressing on it so hard. But now, in addition to me suggesting you're losing freedom of speech rights, there is President Trump saying we took freedom of speech rights away. Now, in this regard, I believe he's talking about two different ways. One clearly being flag burning. And you hear him say the courts ruled that it is freedom of speech, and then he continues by saying but, because he doesn't want the court's ruling to stand, so he thinks that flag burning should not be a freedom of speech right, which a lot of Americans disagree with him. A lot of Americans don't favor allowing citizens to burn the flag. But then again, let's be clear. There's a whole lot of things the courts say that a lot of Americans don't agree with. Whole lot of things that go that way. So imagine if we could just say, fuck the courts, and we don't agree with what they rule, we'll just go against it. That's kind of what he's doing here. And I'm going to tell you, based on my analysis, he has the overwhelming blessing of MAGA. MAGA is overwhelmingly in favor of taking away your free speech right in regards to burning the flag, even though the Supreme Court ruled it should be legal. They're overwhelmingly in favor of that. The concerning thing is this. What else could you be convinced that you shouldn't have? What other rights do we have and enjoy that maybe President Trump disagrees with, and MAGA would be totally fine with saying you shouldn't have had that right either? You never should have had the right to burn the flag to begin with. That's what you're hearing from the MAGA side of that. What other rights do you have that could be said? You know, you never should have had the right to marry another man. You never had the right to marry someone outside of your race. You never had the right. I mean, how many other things because I do believe there are plenty of things that some of the liberal sides of the courts have ruled on that MAGA disagrees with. How many of those things would it be easy to convince them at the behest of President Trump that you never should have had the right to do that to begin with? Such as flag burning, such as maybe just simply criticizing a president on late night TV as Jimmy Kimmel's done. You never should have the right to do that. How many other things can be convinced that way? Because if you can convince folks, those rights could be tossed in the garbage can. Also, continuing on real quick, I want to say something in regards to, and by the way, Israel and Hamas. The Trump administration is announcing that there's been a deal made between Israel and Hamas. That's good news. That's outstanding news if the Trump administration has brokered a deal between Israel and Hamas. Certainly with Trump saying that Hamas will, not Hamas, brokered a deal between Israel and Hamas, but the deal is for the Palestinian people. Hamas is a terror outfit, so we don't favor Hamas. But if there's a deal there where Israel gets back their living and dead hostages, and the people of Palestine do not have to leave their homeland as it becomes the quote unquote Riviera of the Middle East, they get to stay in their homeland and I assume receive some rebuilding efforts from either the Middle Eastern community or including the West by way of the United States, then they get to stay in their homeland and maybe we can kind of move past what a disaster the last few years have been in that region. So if Trump brokered that deal, that is something that he does deserve some credit for. We'll get into how much. I'm going to start taking callers shortly. But last but not least, I did a video on this, and I want to go into this one kind of in detail briefly, and I'll start taking your comments. By the way, tap the screen. We'll be taking callers at 10,000 on TikTok. Smash that like button if you happen to be watching on YouTube and, of course, on Instagram. We're going to get X up and running. I don't know why the thing is frozen there, but tap the screen, share the live, smash the like. But you know how all this works. This is free speech programming. As always, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We are 100% MAGA friendly. National Guard. I want to talk to you folks about that. Now, Trump has been deploying the National Guard to various American cities in suggesting that by doing this is going to lower crime in these cities. I'm going to submit to you that he's probably right. If you send the National Guard, you deploy the National Guard to various American cities, you probably will bring down crime somewhat in those cities. But I don't think it's the goal. I believe that lowering crime is the side effect. What do I believe is the goal? Now, in the video I made, I suggested you use whatever search engine you use. I don't care if it's DuckDuckGoose or Bing or Yahoo or Google. What is the one on X? Gronk or whatever it's called. Whatever you use, and search for the most violent, murderous American cities. Now ask yourself, why is the National Guard not deployed to the top 3 cities on the list that came up from your research? I don't care what search engine you used. Chances are the National Guard is not in any of the top 3 cities, the most violent cities in America that came up from your search. Why is that? Why is the National Guard not in any of those cities? Not even in the top 5, most likely. Possibly not even in the top 10. In terms of using the National Guard to lower crime, how the hell did Portland become one of the first cities to receive National Guard? Portland is not in the top 10 whatsoever. How the hell did Portland get propelled up the list? Now, in the video I made, I asked you folks, what happens if there's a significant amount of folks that have an uprising because they're not happy with President Trump's performance? What do you get? Riots, few loots, folks looting, protesting at college campuses and universities, maybe going on late night television telling bad jokes about the current commander-in-chief, burning flags. This is what you're likely to get if people rise up against President Trump. Now, what have you been hearing from President Trump lately? If the goal is to target crime and reduce crime, why isn't he talking about raising the punishments and sentences for folks who are caught carjacking, robbing, committing crimes like that, as opposed to going after Antifa and raising the crime for flag burning? Fact is, folks, the stuff that he is targeting is based on what you do during a protest. And where would protest against President Trump likely originate? In liberal cities, places like Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, the nation's capital. Do those cities sound familiar? That's where the National Guard is. What I'm going to submit to you is the deployment of the National Guard has less to do with lowering crime and more to do with silencing perceived dissent coming his way in the future. This way, when the protests start, the military is already there to squash those who are protesting. The military is already on scene because these are the cities where it's likely to start. That's why you notice we're not sending the military to the most violent cities. We're sending them to the most liberal. Think about that. He's going out. We're even talking about bringing up the Insurrection Act. What the hell does that got to do with lowering crime? We're actually operating proactively to prevent widespread protests. Lowering crime may be a side effect of it, but that's not what's happening. Now, he has talked about it. I see somebody pointed it out when he said Memphis. He's talked about deploying the National Guard to Memphis and Baltimore. I think he may have mentioned New Orleans as well. They're not there. They're not there. The National Guard has been in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. Liberal cities where the protests, if there is widespread protest against Trump, those are going to be like some of the ground zero spots. The military will already be there. So I'm going to tell you that lowering crime may be a side effect of deploying the military. I don't think it's the goal. So as you guys are tapping the screen, I do want to get the likes up to 10,000. Where is Antifa's headquarters, says G. Antifa doesn't have a headquarters. Antifa, that's like asking where is Black Lives Matter headquarters. These are loosely associated groups that can operate independently, can be hundreds of people at once or a few people, just like Black Lives Matter. Whoever claims to be heading or the founder of Antifa, the founder of BLM, have no control over the operations of folks that are speaking on behalf of it whatsoever. It's not like people get on a Zoom call or have to fly out and meet with the head of Antifa or BLM. It's not like that. It's a movement. That's all it is. It is a movement. It's not anything that is headquartered where you're going to find a corporate building and any of that. So anyway, looking in the comments, we'll go ahead and start the program off. And I don't know, but it does appear as if the National Guard is meant to squash dissent. It's ridiculous. He wants the world to think he's doing something, but doing absolutely nothing. Says, I don't know. I think in regards to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I do believe Trump is involved in that. I do believe that because he made Netanyahu apologize to the country of Qatar for that attack that Israel launched within their border. So Trump is involved in it. Many would suggest he should have stopped that war sooner because Netanyahu could not do all that he's done without Trump's permission, but I do believe he's in it. Let me go straight to the box. Leticia James on the chopping block. Jeremy, you seem to be somewhat of a fan of that, so we'll go ahead and go to Jeremy starting out. Good evening, Jeremy. Okay, we'll give it a moment. I don't know what's going on with the. Okay, there we go.
There we go. I'm here.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Leticia James indicted. What say you?
If this is all financial crimes, like the thing is that when you have someone on a financial crime, it's not the same as other crimes. She's probably cooked more than likely. Now, is she innocent until proven guilty? Absolutely. But here's the thing: when you have a financial crime, there's usually a whole lot of backing on that. There's usually a whole lot of documents that can prove it. I mean, it's not the same as say if you get it with Diddy, where at least people could lie and say oh, I was there consensually, and they get paid off in the background with cash or something like that. Like financial crimes, they're on paper.
But let me ask you this. Do you believe that she would have been indicted for this just normal, or do you believe that this is happening, even if she committed the crime? Do you believe this is happening because President Trump is seeking revenge?
Oh, absolutely, he is. Absolutely, he is. But here's the thing: you can look at that as corrupt, or you can also look at how corrupt it would be if someone in the Biden or Obama administration had her around at the time, and she did the exact same crimes during their administration and decided not to prosecute.
Yeah. The reason why I asked you that is because I believe that if it's being done as a measure of revenge, I believe that's a defense. I believe that would help her out in her case. If she can convince a jury or whatever the case may be that the only reason she's being prosecuted is through a vengeful president, and with his message to Pam Bondi, I don't think that's even deniable. Same thing with Jim Comey. I mean, do you think he's also cooked?
Jim Comey, not sure about him, but I wouldn't be surprised. But like I said, these are financial crimes we're talking about, right? That's what she's been brought up on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
mortgage fraud.
again,
Mortgage fraud.
those are the kind of crimes where there's paper trails for days. I mean, this is how a lot of Black Lives Matter organizers have gotten busted in the past because the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, but you know, this is one of those cases similar to what when Trump was indicted for a financial crime. People, this is a victimless crime. He paid the money back. I don't know what's the actual details of Leticia James' case, but I kind of agree with you from a standpoint it's revenge. My guess is once Trump became president, they had folks go through his adversaries' history, you know, financial history, document history, with a fine tooth comb. Find something that she, you know, maybe some kind of contract she got involved in, you know, refinancing deal. There has to be something out there she was involved in that she didn't cross a T or dot an I on. And I would submit to you, I think all of us, if somebody went through every tax return you filed within the statute of limitations, you probably screwed up somewhere that could be made into a crime.
Maybe, but most likely, you would just get something, you know, like a slap on the wrist for most of it, and for most of it, you'd have to prove intent. You'd have to prove intent, and then again, a financial crime. Like, here's the thing about the feds: they like their 98% conviction rates.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always go after people for all their crimes because that's how they keep a 98 conviction rate. Because as they only really go after somebody when they know they've got their ass.
But you are aware that Trump had to put somebody in that was willing to go after both her and Comey. The original people said no. People resigned after saying there was nothing really present on Leticia James or Jim Comey. Trump went and found somebody that was willing to prosecute these people. So when you say they like their conviction rate, you're right. That's why people quit and didn't go after them.
Well, again, we will find out exactly what the truth is in the actual discovery portion. That's the thing you always got to watch out for, because all this is public information. Everything you do in court is public information, unless the records are sealed. Now, again, I'm just saying, and it probably will come out that she's guilty. I'm more than willing to bet money on that. It's like I'm more than willing to bet money on that. It's because, like I said, there's a lot of different types of crimes you can commit out there. And when it comes to financial crimes, I'm sorry, but unless you're doing everything in cash, and that requires a whole lot of trust from a lot of different people, you're probably going to have somebody say, hey, that math doesn't math quite right.
Yeah. But I guess I'd have to ask also, if it turns out that these indictments are revenge for President Trump, as you and I both agree, is he not guilty himself of weaponizing the Department of Justice and being caught doing it on the internet? I mean, he literally sent Pam Bondi a message telling her to go after Leticia James, telling her to go after Comey and Adam Schiff. If they do that, is he not himself overstepping his boundaries? I don't know what the actual phrase would be, but is he not himself potentially committing some sort of impeachable crime?
I'm not entirely sure if it is a crime. If I know for sure it is a crime to frame somebody, to say, like, you know, to go after them for a crime they didn't commit. Mm-hmm. But like choosing to go after somebody who you already had political differences with, by going for them for a crime that they did commit. Like, it can be proven in court that they did commit it.
Yeah, but I guess the point I'm making is this: he's the president. He's not supposed to be ordering the Department of Justice to do this stuff. This is outside of his.
I agree. Like, listen, I agree with you from a moral perspective. I'm just trying to be realistic here. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's an actual crime, though. I don't know if like presidents are allowed to technically do it. Here's the thing: I don't think he should. I think if there is a real crime here, he should go after her, but he should go after other people, like on the right and the left, like equally. But again, I don't know that it's an actual crime to get revenge. I can't speak on that. I can't speak on that if it's based on a legitimate crime that they actually committed.
I don't know either, but I think you and I think most MAGA, even though they may favor what he's doing, I think most MAGA would probably agree that it is revenge. All the liberals are going to see it as revenge, but I think
it's definitely revenge. It's definitely revenge. But like I said, the feds like their 98% conviction rate, so there's probably some meat on the bone here. Like, Like the only time I've ever seen in my lifetime where like the feds weren't able to get somebody was when they went after the people at Tenet Media.
Shit, when they went after Trump, they didn't get Trump.
I know. Oh, okay. Oh, really? They went after Trump?
Yeah, they went after Trump. He had like 90-some charges from Jack Smith. That was all federal.
New York.
No, that was federal. Now, they got him in New York. Alvin Bragg with the 34 felonies, they got him in New York. Jack Smith did not get him federally.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's where it had to do with New York. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Okay,
and by the way, Alvin Bragg would surprise me if Alvin Bragg is on the hit list. I want to ask you a question. Hang on one second, though. Will G says Trump ain't shit. He says Leticia James is indicted, given how many resignations it took to get there. Watch it flake off like cornflakes. So he's disagreeing with you, saying because it took so many people to resonate to finally find somebody who would actually indict her. He doesn't expect the indictments to go for it. He continues on by saying Trump wants martial law so bad, he is waiting for the opportunity. What do you think about that?
I don't believe that. That I feel is a little bullshit. That last statement. I understand like what Will G is saying with like the whole like quitting, like people quitting and stuff like that, and saying no to it. You know, because you can actually like get punishments for like frivolously going after people.
Right.
I know that. So that's probably the strongest argument for predicting that Leticia didn't do anything. That's probably the strongest argument. I still don't think it's as strong as like, you know, as like admitting that it's a federal case is done over financial crimes. Like again, and here's the thing: discovery will definitely show whether she's guilty or not. Like you're not going to get around discovery in a financial crime.
Yeah.
And so who knows? That could be her salvation, or it could be her incarceration.
I'm just going to say this: it depends on the judge you get as well, because some judges do not like people abusing the courts. Everybody knows that the only reason this case is coming forward is President Trump, even if she's guilty.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that this is Trump overstepping his power. There may be even some right-wing judges that are like, I don't want the courts to be used in this manner because, yeah, you do open up the door for liberals in the future to do the same damn thing. So there may be, even if she is guilty, there may be judges that simply say, this is a revenge play. I'm not even going to entertain it. So we'll see. But real quick, before we continue, I want to read this because we talked about the whole martial law thing, and Will G says MAGA ain't shit. Also, he says they say listen to a few people on the ground groveling to Trump about crime, and they take it as gold. But when they see thousands of people protesting against Trump, they call it terrorism. I want to ask you that. Why is he saying stuff like Portland is burning to the ground and greatly over-exaggerating the crime and what's going on in these cities? Why is he doing that? Not to mention, as I pointed out in my own monologue, he didn't even start anywhere near the most violent cities. What is the goal of this?
Okay, so here's what's going on, Tim. Now, to address what Will G said there, I do want to say this. While Trump definitely exaggerates, holy shit, deja vu. That felt weird.
Give me the exaggeration.
The exaggeration is like, oh, Portland's on fire. It's not on fire. It's not on fire. No, it hasn't been.
And he didn't say it was on fire. Trump said it was burning to the ground.
Well, okay, burning to the ground, on fire. Potato, you know what I mean.
Right.
It's not burning. It's not.
Why is he saying stuff like that? I mean, why is he lying that bad?
Okay. Because he wants people to be he wants his base to support him on what he's doing. Now, what he's doing, I don't mind. I don't mind sending the National Guard to these liberal strongholds because there's a lot of liberal judges and a lot of law enforcement that are not enforcing federal laws, and that's a huge undermine to his administration. I don't actually have a problem with that. They do need to be put there because federal agents do need to be able to enforce federal laws. Like ICE needs to be able to snatch up illegal immigrants and send them back to where they.
How is the National Guard going to force federal judges or liberal judges to enforce the law? I don't understand that.
No. Sorry, I shouldn't have said judges. I meant chiefs. I meant like cops. Like local police are oftentimes in certain places not working with the feds. It's to actually grab illegal immigrants and bring them to court. and then send them back when they're.
But that ain't what he said, Jeremy. He said to lower crime. That ain't what he said. He said to lower crime.
I know he's lying.
So he's lying. He's deploying the military on U.S. citizens based on a lie.
Yeah, I know. He shouldn't do that. He should just be honest with it and say, we need to enforce federal laws. We need to enforce what the people voted for when it comes to federal immigration and policy. We need to be able to do that.
But don't you have ICE there to do that? Don't you have ICE enforcing the immigration?
Yes, but they're completely operating without any help from the local governments. Oftentimes, here's the thing, Tim, it's very, very common for federal employees, is whether that be the FBI, ICE, Homeland Security, any group of federal agencies to work with local departments. Okay,
well, let's do it this way then. If you think that the National Guard needs to be sent to back up ICE, when ICE is going around making their raids or whatever, then you have National Guard there. He's got the National Guard just standing around places in American cities. They're not backing ICE. They're just standing on street corners and shit. That's not backing up ICE.
In some cases, as they're just standing around. I can't speak for the exact reasons why they do what they do. They have internal reasons to do what they do when it comes to tactical reasons why they would do what they do. Okay? But at the end of the day, they are doing this because they need to enforce federal immigration policy. That's the primary thing that they need to do. And these Antifa idiots are just getting themselves hurt. And for anyone who says these Antifa, it's just an idea. It's just shut the fuck up. It is absolutely an organized group.
Antifa to me is very similar to the whole, you didn't silence Charlie Kirk, you just energized the movement. That's all. It's a movement. Antifa really is a movement. If you're a member of Antifa, you're not going to Antifa meetings. You don't carry a card or an ID that says Antifa. You just say, I identify with what you guys are doing. And if you're protesting, I'll show up sometimes. Maybe I won't. In whatever city you pick. That is about as unorganized as you can get.
That's not how it works. Trust me. Andy No wrote an entire book about this. Some of those people are on the periphery of Antifa, and they sometimes get useful idiots to help them. But they're absolutely a coordinated, organized, funded group that actually has Discord calls and stuff like that. They actually have organized. They actually organize themselves. It's like a biker gang a lot of times.
Okay.
They may not have
I would like for you to see me some actual evidence of that, some websites. Let's say I wanted to join Antifa. What would be the procedure?
The procedure would probably be to go to just wait for one of the protests to come around, put on a mask, cheer for a little bit, and then look for Black Bloc. No. Don't laugh.
It's funny.
Look for Black Bloc. These are guys who oftentimes wear specific outfits and go into specific formations and even have this is something they've done. They've actually made like faux shields that they actually hit people with out of trash cans that are made of hard or plastic. And they write the logo of Antifa on there, which is the two flags.
I do got to move it on for you, but before I do, let me ask you this. Is there any requirement to join Antifa? Do you need to be fit? Do you need to have a criminal history? What is the requirements to join Antifa?
It's ideological requirements. That's what it is. You have to be very, very pro-communist and very anti-American. But trust me, I have seen so many Antifa fucks that honestly, they look like they could use a treadmill. I'm not joking. I'm not even joking. That's 100% true. So no, these little twinks and quick chunguses, they don't have high standards.
I'm just going to say I need to see some proof. Jeremy, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming through, man.
Have a good one, Tim.
You too. By the way, tap the screen, folks. You guys know how the program is ran. We are MAGA friendly. MAGA are always my preferred guests. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having a dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak. You can be critical of anyone on this program, up to and including yours truly. This is uncensored entertainment all the way down the line. We don't block, ban, or censor. We've never even had a moderator. So if you like free speech while we still have it, uncensored dialogue on the internet, Feel free to follow the program if you're watching on TikTok or happen to be tuned in on Instagram. And give us a sub if you're watching on YouTube. We're here most weekdays. Tim, let's talk Memphis, bro. What about Memphis, Gerald? Let me go straight to the box, and we'll pick it up with Gerald. What's going on in Memphis that you want to talk about there, Gerald? Good evening.
What's up, brother?
Hey.
So, Pam Bondi and her little crew, they sent all the alphabet people here. They are here. The alphabets are here.
Okay.
So,
now when you say alphabet, you're talking DEAF, ATF, FBI.
Yep.
But what about the National Guard? Is the National Guard there?
They're not here yet.
Okay.
They're not here yet. But the other ones, but they sent down all of these guys. They are here.
Okay.
And here's the crazy thing. After the first day, they announced they had 97 arrests. So I was talking with a friend of mine at the news station, and they won't let him report it. He's pissed. Most of those were traffic violations.
Whoa.
Traffic is just running up numbers. Now, they did start they found a few weapons or whatever, but a lot of that stuff is old warrants for stuff like minor crimes. The crime-ridden areas that we know are in Memphis, they're not even in those parts of the city. They're avoiding those parts of the city. And my thing is, if you're coming, go do something.
So,
but no, they don't have to do with that.
Let me ask you, did you hear the monologue I said where I think it's more to squash future dissent against President Trump?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's what I don't think it's about lowering crime. They're sitting there and they're hanging around because that way when there is an uprising, they'll already be there. I think lowering crime might be somewhat of a side effect, but they're not there to lower crime. They're there so that when there's an uprising, they'll already be on scene.
No, so that's what the mayor was saying. Okay, so we can't stop them. So, okay, let's use them. Let's do something. What are we going to do? And that wasn't what he wanted. He wanted them to go to the crime-ridden areas.
Yeah.
That day that they arrived and had those 97, all these big arrests, that was 3 shootings. There was a shooting at a school. Where were they? Nowhere around.
Memphis hasn't been making the news as much. I didn't hear this about. I think you may have told me before about the 3-letter organizations, but the National Guard going to Memphis has not made a lot of news. Now I know he also entertained sending the National Guard to New Orleans. That seemed to have just went away.
I haven't heard anything about the New Orleans thing. Everybody here is just waiting for them to come here. They're going to be unarmed. They're going to have no arrest authority. So what are they going to do?
Exactly.
They're going to hang out on Beale Street?
Yeah. They got some good barbecue down there. I mean,
but if they buying drinks, I'm down. Let's go.
But that's what I'm saying is I believe that they are there on scene so that when the people start speaking out, maybe when this time next year during the midterms, when people start getting pissed off about gerrymandering or something like that, military's already there. Military's already on scene. I believe that that's what it's about.
So here's my little, and this might be too conspiratorial, but here's my thing with what he's doing with the Guard and Antifa and all of this stuff. So Antifa now is a terrorist organization.
That's what he ruled.
Right?
That's what he ruled.
Okay. So when you're a terrorist organization, you lose some rights as far as your legal rights. They can throw you to Guantanamo Bay with no representation.
I mean, shit, you could be like those boats off the coast of Venezuela, which, by the way, the Colombian president said one of those boats was his citizens. So so that's a mess too, but we're not even talking about that today, but keep going.
So now you protest against Trump, since Antifa is this ambiguous organization that, I heard Jeremy say that there's an organization that I can just say you're Antifa.
Yep.
So you are a terrorist. I just picked you out. You are a terrorist. So off you go.
Yeah. And if you don't get any significant due process as someone who is deemed a terrorist, it'll be a long time before you get a court case where you can say I'm not Antifa. And by the way, how can you prove you're not Antifa?
Exactly, because you can't prove I am.
Yeah.
Or he is. Or anybody is.
What I don't understand, I guess because MAGA is winning and Trump is winning, there's a perception that Trump is winning. I guess they don't care about this. But I'm thinking, like, even if you support Trump, how can you not see how this could really backfire in the future, giving this man this much power?
I know, because the next president has got that same power.
You think we'll have one?
That's when they'll start trying to pull it back in.
You think we'll have one? You think we'll have one?
Oh yeah, that's a toss up to itself.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like there is something sinister at play. And certainly, now let me ask you in regards to this Leticia James being indicted. Do you foresee anybody else being okay? We got Comey, we got Leticia James now. Do you believe there's any other people out there that are going to be indicted within the next few weeks?
He wants Obama, but I don't think he can do that.
Yeah. Obama's safe, I believe.
He's got, thanks to Trump, he's got immunity.
Why? You know something? Obama didn't say a whole lot negative about Trump. Why would he want Obama?
Because he represents something decent and something that people look up to. Too many people look up to him and not up to Trump.
So
it's
just
ego.
Just fucking jealousy. Miss Mo Better, thank you for the TikTok cap. So he wants Obama just out of jealousy?
Come on, Tim. We're talking about Trump here. You're talking about a guy who sits up and tells you how great he is every day. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. When I fart, my stuff smells great. I mean, when I'm the prettiest man in the world. I've shot 18 holes in one. I'm it. I am the best thing that's ever happened to America in 3,000 years.
You sound like
hadn't existed that long.
You sound like Muhammad Ali with an interview with Howard Cosell. James Harper says the fact that the charges were found in Florida lets you know how poorly the evidence is for a conviction. So they didn't just prosecutor shop. They also did it in a state that's going to be favorable to get Leticia James.
Exactly. But in the end, I think it's a thing to make her spend money on lawyers. I mean, if you think about it, you get accused of something, you got to pay a lawyer. Yeah. You know, so
James Comey, the guy who got Scooter Libby, I cannot think of the guy who prosecuted Scooter Libby. He was the head of. Yeah. He's the guy that's working for James Comey. So he came out of retirement because he said he considers James Comey as a friend. I don't know if he's charging him a fortune, but he came out of retirement to work for to help defend James Comey. Real quick, James Harper says Trump is using exaggerated crime to excuse subjugation of cities whose leadership does not kiss the ring. I kind of agree with that. The National Guard goes, and he says the National Guard goes to these cities and just as they're wasting taxpayer funds. Why, in a world where the question is always asked, who's going to pay for this? Why do you think MAGA is not asking that question? Some of these folks are out there just picking up garbage.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Trump says it for MAGA, it don't matter. I can run the deficit up. I just say I don't. So he didn't. I can spend money on whatever wasteful product. It kills me with this little airplane thing that he got. You got to spend so many billions of dollars to upgrade that airplane to make it safe for a president to fly in. Then he takes it with him at the end of the thing. Now we got to buy another one.
Well, they are in defense of President Trump. They are working on the new Air Force One, which is to be a few years away. So Trump just decided the current Air Force One is outdated, so he wanted something new. But you are right, as opposed to continuing to fly a completely usable aircraft, he wanted something new, and he's going to get this new aircraft at taxpayers' expense, and probably going to walk away with it in some fashion. Now, he's claiming otherwise, but I don't buy it. I believe that jet's going to stay in his possession for the rest of his life.
Going to his library? What's a jet going to do at the library other than fly him around?
Yeah, I don't buy that. Yeah, I don't buy that jet's going to sit at the library. My guess is, I mean, just like he changes his mind on a whole lot of things, he's going to find a way to change his mind so that he gets to keep that jet. I don't believe anything else. I just don't.
But the people who are supposed to be the most conservative in the nation are letting him spend like a child at Christmas with an unlimited credit card.
Different era. It's not about conservatism anymore. It's about Trump. I mean, if Trump wants to be conservative, they'll totally agree with that. But if Trump wants to be Trump, they're going to kind of agree with that too. James Harper says Trump and MAGA will use Antifa just like they use DEI to target any protagonist to the MAGA movement. Now, that's what you were just talking about, Gerald. Just deeming people as Antifa just because they were protagonists or somebody who's speaking out.
Mm-hmm. So then this police officer with a covered face that you can't see is gonna come grab you. I mean, since when, Tim, have we ever had a police force that was covered where you couldn't see who they were? When have we?
I suppose there's been a few undercover operations that are highly sensitive, but just walking in the street with mask on, never. But I mean, I suppose if you're going to take down a drug kingpin or something like that, where you want to maintain it, but the whole force is masked up? No, never. That's never happened.
There's a reason. There's a reason. They know that they're breaking the law. They know that if I'm thinking in my mind, they know those officers, they actually know it, but they've been ordered to do so. So they're wearing these masks. They're doing things that they know are unconstitutional. They know that they can't just grab people off the street if you have rights in this country. But then when somebody else comes in, you don't know who they were.
Yeah.
Imagine if all the January 6ers had been covered up. We didn't know who they were.
Yeah. And that is where the problem is that because they have so much anonymity with the mask, not even wearing name tags and things like that, you can assume there are some agents getting away with committing crimes because who are you going to report it to? Some dude in blue jeans with a mask on violated me. Okay. That's not going anywhere.
Yep. So now watch some of the knuckleheads take advantage of it who are not one of the alphabet agencies, but maybe one of the gangs. Let's wear my mask and put on my khakis and I'll walk around and do crap.
That already has happened. Where a guy posed as a federal agent and tried to violate a woman. That's already happened. My guess is it's probably because if you're here illegally, you do make a really good victim. You're either going to let me do what I want to do to you or I'm going to call ICE. I mean, it doesn't matter what. Once you got one of them and they want to stay here, you pretty much can get whatever you want from them. You got a choice. You can either do what I want you to do, give me what I want, work for me for free, whatever. If you don't do it, I'm going to call ICE.
That's exactly right. That's the same thing that those traffickers do. I got your passport.
So in other words, we went from accusing them of trafficking to putting American citizens in the place of being able to traffic.
Yeah. Just accuse them. Wow. Hey, what did you say? Oh, you're Antifa. Don't try to obey for this one.
And I would sure like to know what has Antifa done to qualify as a terrorist outfit. I got to move it on, Gerald, but I don't get the Antifa being a terrorist outfit. If you got to bring up stuff from 5 and 6 years ago, then they're not a terrorist outfit. But executive order is, he's complaining about Biden's auto pen, but shit, he's doing everything by way of executive order himself. Just because you're alive and signing it, I don't know if that means that's any better. Gerald?
There's somebody out there that's got a whole list of all of the things that Trump was talking about when he was running against Obama and complaining about what presidents do with executive orders and all these other things. And he's doing exactly the same thing, which has always been his playbook. I'm going to say something and everybody, all my MAGA friends, they're going to believe me, but I'm going to do just the opposite. And they're going to ignore me or make excuses for it.
And that is working like a charm. Appreciate it, Jeremy. Thank you.
Yeah, brother.
All right. Moving on, by the way, tap the screen. Get you going up to about 25,000. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor. We're talking about the fact that now down goes Leticia James. She has now been indicted along with James Comey. So you got two James, one with the last name of James, one with the first name of James. Leticia James and James Comey. I think everybody would agree this is a vengeful play, but there's a lot of us that actually favor indicting Leticia James. There's a lot of people who don't like what Trump went through during his term. The two impeachments, the Russian collusion investigation, the 34 felony convictions, and then of course he started out, I think, with like 90 something federal charges. Jack Smith ended up having to toss them all. A lot of folks don't like what Trump went through. Therefore, they are 100% behind him taking revenge on his perceived enemies. A lot of folks are favorable to what Trump is doing. Oddly enough, many of them were totally against using a weaponized Department of Justice when he was the perceived victim. But now that he is the one doing it, they're totally in favor of it. So kind of like what my last caller said, he's saying all this stuff about Obama and stuff like that. But then when it's flipped and he's the one doing it, it's suddenly okay. But a lot of MAGA is okay with this. A lot of MAGA wants Letitia, wants Comey, wants Adam Schiff, probably Ambassador Bolton. I want to ask you folks, who else do you believe is on the list? This is not the Epstein list, folks. You're going to find out who is on this list. While you may never find out under the Trump administration who's on the Epstein list, you are going to find out who is on the hit list. Comey, Leticia James, we know Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, as he calls him, is on there. I'm thinking Ambassador Bolton may be on there, but I want to ask you folks, who else do you believe is on President Trump's list? Somebody said top dog says Jack Smith. That's a good one. That's a good one. If I was Jack Smith, like how much do you charge for a 3-year visa? I don't know, pick a country of choice. How much do you charge if I want to stay here on a 3-year visa? You can bounce places. I'm going to take the next caller. By the way, tap the screen, get us up to 30,000. But I do want to say this. As someone who used to live overseas, you can bounce places to avoid the United States, assuming they don't put out an Interpol warrant for you. But when I was overseas, okay, you go stay somewhere you get a 6-month visitor visa. I want to come tour. I want to come see things in your country. I don't have work rights, but I want to come visit. You get a 6-month visa if all your stuff is straight. After 6 months, you got to get out of the country. But you generally don't have to leave but for a week or so. So let's say you want to go to England. Get a 6-month visa. After the 6 months expire, go stay in Italy for a week or two. Then you can come back to the UK and get another 6-month visa. You can actually, I know people that were bouncing around doing it for quite a while. If you got the income, because I was able to do it a couple of times myself. Anyway, looking in the comments, presidents can take practically nothing with them when they leave. If you're worded right, though. And by the way, look, we're talking about President Trump. Let's quit pretending like the rules that are in place are not bendable for President Trump. You're stating that presidents cannot take anything with them when they leave. You think President Trump, if he signed an executive order, you think anybody would push back with some of the shit he's doing now? You think President Trump could bend that rule if he wanted to? I'm going to assume he could. Continuing on, though, we'll go straight to Miss Mo Better. Good evening, Miss Mo Better. Leticia James goes down in an indictment. What say you?
Nah, she ain't go down, and she won't be found guilty of anything, believe it. And what's going to happen is it's going to cost us citizens a lot more money because they're going to start suing. He's going to go after them with this frivolous charges, which we already know. There's been vengeful things like that never really pan out. See, he's mad. He's not mad that they went after him. He's mad because he was actually found guilty.
Yeah.
He was found guilty of the shit that he was indicted for. And see, there's a whole difference in him going after them and them going after him.
Well, let me ask you this. In regards to you saying he was found guilty of the shit they went after him for. Now, Alvin Bragg is the only one that really got an actual conviction on him for the 34 felonies. Alvin Bragg's name has not been mentioned yet. What would you do if you were Alvin Bragg? You think you'd be in the crosshairs?
No, if I was him, I keep running my life like I was. Because again, he didn't fix no books. They didn't lie, and he was convicted by his peers, not the actual people that actually charged him. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what people are forgetting. So the politicians didn't convict him. None of those people convicted him. He was convicted by his peers. Those are people who held no office. These were everyday people that had jobs and different things like that. That's who was sitting on that jury. The jury found him guilty.
But let me ask you, because one of the viewers is questioning, but is there a double standard? In other words, okay, Goldilocks Production says, so Trump's case, which was identical to Leticia James' case, I don't know about that, but he's saying,
it is not,
hold on, hang on. Hold on. Well, let me get it out, and then you can give your rebuttal. But he says, so Trump's case, which was identical to Leticia James' case, is legit, but Leticia's case is not. This is a massive double standard. What say you?
Listen, it's not to say that her case is not legitimate, but is her case enough to be indicted for them to try to convict her for? Did she have some issues? Probably so. But is it enough to bring forth with this federal indictment?
And also, I would say this in regards to my viewer. What he's let me just. I would also say this in regards to what the viewer said. If Trump and Leticia James cases are the same, then why isn't Trump being held responsible? I mean, you can't play a double standard on one end and not the other end. If they have the same type of cases, then if Leticia James deserves to be punished, then that means Trump does too. So
again, she is going to have her day in court. Bring out what you have, and if that's the case, why are people quitting, saying there's nothing there?
Right. And I guess I'd have to look into Leticia James' case more in detail. They're claiming it's a mortgage fraud case. Now, they did claim Trump's case had something to do with him evaluating and devaluating his property. So there has to be some mild similarities to those cases, is there not?
No, they did. But see what it is? It's the amount of money that was involved. So you talking about mortgage on a personal residence as opposed to mortgages on commercial properties and bank accounts and different things like that. Those are not the same. It changes the game, whether or not people want to accept that.
Yeah, but like CIO said, he said a crime is a crime, whether large or small. So, okay, yeah, she don't have the money that Trump has. So, of course, her mortgage fraud crime financially is going to be a smaller number because Trump is owning high rises and shit like that. But if she committed mortgage fraud, is she not a viable prosecution target?
If it's mortgage, then she would be held liable. She should be held liable if she's guilty. If they can bring forth that and prove that she committed some type of fraud, whether it was a mortgage or anything, bank account or whatever, she should be held liable. Yeah. I'm not with double standards.
Yeah, I'm not with the double standard either. One of the viewers said she filed an affidavit saying the house was her primary home to get a lower mortgage rate and didn't let her. Is that let me interrupt and just say this. If because I did that. I don't listen. I think I'm outside the statute of limitations because I haven't owned property in a while, but I did used to own several duplexes in the city of Chicago. And you do get lower interest rates, lower insurance rates, rather, things like that if you say you live in a property. And I was purchasing properties to put tenants in them, but I would buy them as owner occupied. I've played that game before. I don't know. I mean, that's got to be a pretty mild crime.
You do have people that do have multiple residents, Tim, in multiple states.
Yeah,
that's not uncommon. That is not uncommon. Yeah. So if you had those duplexes and you had one of those apartments designated for yourself, whether you were in town or not, that's not illegal.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. You can have more than one residence listed. But I just know in the city of Chicago, there was a time where I had 2 or 3 residences as my private residence. I mean, my personal residence, and I had tenants living there. And I was getting lower interest rates, some of that stuff. But I think that would be, if that's what they're going after her for, my guess is that would come with a fine. I can't imagine that coming with any significant jail time.
Exactly. But like I said, and we people got to start reading a little bit more, even though the Supreme Court keeps saying, oh, well, the president has completed immunity. No, he still cannot commit crimes while he's the sitting president. He can still be charged. It's just going to take Congress to drop their fucking balls and do what they need to do. That's why that one of those military wives went off on Mike Johnson's ass today. How despicable his ass is.
I didn't see that, but I got to say this. Unless I cannot imagine any crime that Trump would ever commit that a Republican Congress would charge him. Middle of Fifth Avenue is probably about as legitimate as they come right now.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. Not as long as the Republicans are in full control. And see, this is the thing. This is why he's testing the waters with sending the National Guard out there, because they're going to try some fuck shit with those midterm elections.
Yeah,
they're going because he's refusing to give up his power.
So you do agree with what I said in the monologue, is that the National Guard is not there to lower crime, even though that might be a side effect of it, but the National Guard is there to squelch perceived uprisings coming up in the future.
It absolutely is, because look what he's doing. Trump said today that he's going to stop and stop programs only to the Democratic states, Come on, Tim. He's playing right in our face. But let me warn MAGA about glorifying stuff that he said. He stopped programs that go into Democratic states. The Democrats are going to have to pour the money back into their own states. The red states are going to starve.
That's where you start getting civil issues, because if the blue states start holding their federal funds in retaliation for what Trump is doing, then I guess Trump was sitting in the federal government to demand those funds. This is when you start getting real problems. I hear just the other day. Huh?
All that civil shit starts.
Yeah,
and that's what he inciting things like he always does. He incited that insurrection. They could flag me, block me, do whatever the fuck they want to with it. The truth is in the pudding.
Yeah, here's one thing I don't understand. The right is blaming the left for the current government shutdown. And based on some of the conversation you and I are having right now, why would Trump or anybody on the right expect? I mean, he's not acting in any manner whatsoever to suggest I need the left to work with me. I mean, like you said, he's threatening federal programs in liberal states. He's obviously making fun of, Hakeem Jeffries with the sombrero hat. He's attacking the left every day. Like, do you really want these people to work with you, or are you just saying that?
He doesn't. He's running this country like it's The Apprentice. That's what he's doing. My paranoia. I don't have paranoia. I'm woke. I'm the shit that Trump wants to go away. He don't want people like me and stuff out here telling the truth about the shit he does. He wants to continue telling his lies and blowing smoke up MAGA's air.
So what do you? But what do you say about voters, constituents like Billy Buckeye in the comments that says we voted for this?
Well, you're gonna get what you voted for too. Sorry, because guess what? While he keeps saying the left is gonna pay and left gonna do this, that includes you too. Yeah. That's gonna include you more. But those red states and all that, it's gonna include you more than it's gonna include the blue. We are able to sustain. Blue states are able to sustain on their own. They get less federal funding already. So now when he claims that he's going to stop giving money to the programs and stuff in blue states, the red states are not going to get that money. You serious?
How about this, though? Cody Lux Production says Trump's case had all the banks saying Trump did nothing wrong. You remember they were saying there was no victims in this case. They were saying, okay, you had all the banks saying it was doing nothing wrong and even said the loans were repaid, but the court said they did not even care. Leticia James has lots of evidence of wrongdoing. So he's saying that in Trump's case, they went after Trump, even though the bank said the loans were satisfied with interest. There were no victims or any of that. And they continue going after Trump. So he's pointing out what it did.
Tell him he got to call up all the jurors that was on that jury and tell them that. For some reason, there was some unrefutable evidence that they had to convict him. They can't just say, "I'm gonna convict you because I feel like it."
Yeah, but you're talking about the conviction. He's talking about the judges and the prosecutor. What he is saying is because there was no victims, it should have never made it before a jury to begin with. They should have never tried him to begin with. There were no victims. The banks were happy. There was no crime of any significance to even charge Trump with. That's the case he's making.
Evidently, somebody got that sentiment wrong because he was still convicted.
Yeah.
He was still convicted, so I don't even know what to tell you on that instant. He was convicted of 34 felony counts. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, he was convicted, and my guess is
he
not.
Was convicted.
What was the other judge? Judge the one that was in E. Jean Carroll's case. His name was ENGLE or something like that. He was making fun.
Yeah.
He probably needs to take a vacation out of the country also.
I'm sure. Yeah, they made his ass. He even lost the appeal on that too.
Yeah,
he lost the appeal on that. People in his supporters, his fans, they don't see how his mouth is what convicts him. It's not really, it's his mouth that convicts him.
Well, they believe that Trump was an innocent victim of a weaponized justice system, and now they want vengeance. I got to move it on. Go. I give you the last word.
They said you said innocent, innocent and Trump don't go in the same sentence.
I'm just telling you how they feel. They feel like them.
But look, they talk about taxes, but they comfortable with him not paying taxes, but mad because the illegals don't want to pay taxes. Y'all get the fuck out of here with that foolishness.
All right.
The fuck? Who the fuck raised y'all?
Miss Mometta, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming through.
Indeed.
Always love. All right, you're looking at the Cody Lux Productions. The National Guard is there to defend ICE, the feds, and federal property from Antifa riots that comedy polices won't take care of. The problem is they're showing up in places and that stuff is not really happening. And I'll just say this. What's really making it problematic is when you got Trump on television suggesting that Portland is burning to the ground. So when he says he's deploying the National Guard to Portland because the city is currently burning to the ground, at that point, it stops really being a concern about what is actually happening, because you lose so much credibility by telling an obvious lie. Even if there are legitimate reasons for the National Guard to be there, when you say something that is that obviously fictitious, people are going to question what's going on. And I don't think I've talked to anyone, even some of my beloved MAGA, that really favors Trump. Nobody has agreed that what he said about Portland burning to the ground is accurate. Even the supporters are saying that's wrong. Some say it's an exaggeration. Some say it's Trump being Trump. Others admit it's an outright lie, but no one has said that is actually true. No one has said that. And that's the reason he's given for deploying the National Guard. It's based on a lie. So even if ICE is needing help or there's crime or whatever, the fact is the president got on TV and lied about the reason for the deployment. Cody Lux says Democrat judge with biased Democrat jury. They didn't even hold a trial, and they went straight to sentencing. Here's one of the things that's came up a lot in the era of Trump, because this came up in the 2020 election as also when the judges would not hear his election fraud claims. He lost like 60 court cases. Well, they're Democrat appointed judges. Folks, every single judge in this country is going to be appointed by a Democrat or a Republican. I don't know why we're starting to now say that if a Democrat judge rules against Trump, it has to be because he's a biased judge. Because if you're going to say that, then that means any Republican judge that rules in his favor has to be viewed the same way. We're constantly hearing that from President Trump and the right. That's a Democratic judge. Okay, well, you don't hear him complaining about the Republican judges that rule in their favor. Is it possible that you could be a Democrat or you could be a Republican appointed judge and just rule fairly? Why do we have to assume that any Democrat judge that rules against Trump is doing it based on some type of bias or unfair? Maybe he just lost the case. That might just be it. I don't know, but you're starting to hear that way too often now. James Harper says that there is no such thing as a victimless crime. It's still a victim. That's not a claim of an innocent man. I don't think Trump was innocent of what they charged him for. I think it was more along the lines of what he's saying. Look, you're charging me for something that really nobody is bitching about. I mean, like being on the highway at 2 a.m. and there's no traffic out there whatsoever, and a traffic cam clocks me doing 10 over the speed limit. There's nobody out here. Who gives a damn that I'm doing 10 miles an hour over the limit? Why would you send a ticket? I'm not putting the public at a higher risk for accident. There's nobody out here. I was doing 10 over the limit, 2 a.m. on a stretch of highway that nobody existed. So I'm going to simply say, if we go by the claim that you should not be charged for a victimless crime, you would probably wipe out a whole lot of crimes. Let's say I decide to go down to the hood and buy some ass. She's selling it. I'm buying it. I give her some money through the side of my car. She jumps in the car, does what I need to do, and she leaves. I'm happy. She's paid. Who the hell's the victim? That's a crime. But who is the victim? Should we write that out of law because there's not a victim? Same thing with buying some drugs. Maybe I want a little bit, maybe I want an ounce of pot. So I go down to the hood once again and make a purchase. The dealer's happy. I got my smoke. I'm happy. Who's the victim? So if we start saying that you gotta forgive or ignore crimes that have no victims, there could be a host of crimes that are involved in that. There's a lot of things we do that may not have any victims in it whatsoever. So what is somebody said? You say that like you've done it before. Highway. Don't get too deep into the rhetoric. Highway Jew, I appreciate the input. Don't get too deep into the rhetoric. So I do believe there are some crimes that can be victimless crimes. I absolutely do believe that. Same thing with, they used to have speakeasies during the Prohibition era. If you want to go and hang out in somebody's basement or in the back of their bar and, enjoy a wee bit of the spirits, as long as you're not driving home and running into anybody, there's no victim. There's a whole lot of crimes like that that really do not have any victims involved. Going on, Cody Locke says, thank you, Cody, for your support. To appreciate that. Cody Locke's Productions. Chicago and Portland both have a no response. Now, you said no response SE policy. I don't know what SE means. But he says they have no response per se or whatever. Anyway, it says Chicago and Portland both have a no response policy around ICE facilities. And there is even a recording of Portland Dispatch saying to stand down when called to an attack on ICE. Wow. So what he is saying is they need to dispatch the National Guard to protect ICE because those municipalities have a stand down order, do not protect ICE. I'm not for certain if that's the case. I do know that the municipalities of Portland and Chicago are not happy with ICE. But I will say, some of that is self-inflicted. Some of that is absolutely self-inflicted. When you go to a city as a federal organization, when you're going to be dibbling and dabbling in that town's backyard, so to speak, you're supposed to advise the city. We may be conducting raids on Main Street, or we may be over here. That way, so when let's say, for instance, you got a bunch of masked men in plain clothes jump out of a Penske or a U-Haul truck and started going and grabbing people at a Home Depot parking lot. People are screaming everywhere. Nobody knows for certain who these people are. So some folks are dialing 911. They're dialing the city police. Now, the city has not been made aware that any of this shit is taking place. So the city shows up to a call that guys with guns are grabbing people out of the back of a U-Haul truck, and people are screaming. Now you could put the city police in danger by not warning them of this stuff. That's why the cities are not cooperating with ICE. It's because ICE is not cooperating with the city. So, of course, we'll stand down. Well, fuck them. If they're not going to tell us where they're at and they're going to go do shit that could put them in jeopardy, then don't call us for help. That's where that's coming from. That is where that's coming from. I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with it, but I absolutely do not agree with a federal organization going into a major city, conducting raids, and not so much as giving a city a heads up of what they're doing. They just pepper sprayed some Chicago cops the other day. ICE just pepper sprayed on camera some Chicago police the other day. All right, going back to the box. Further Great, good evening. Welcome to the program. They hate Trump, that's why. Why would anybody hate Trump? Isn't he not so lovable? Further Great, good evening.
What's up, Tim? How you doing?
I'm hanging out tough, man. So Leticia James look like she may be dealing with some court for a little while. What say you?
I mean, his performance, like most of the shit he does, is. I mean, did you hear what happened with this recent case against Comey? How the lawyers didn't know what the fuck they was there for, pretty much.
I don't think Comey's case is going nowhere. Comey, I don't even know if Leticia James' case, but certainly Comey, because you don't rise to the top of the FBI without having friends every damn where. Without having, I mean, he don't rose to the rank to all the way to the top of the FBI. He got friends and shit everywhere. I'm not for certain the judges are not even going to be on his side. Everybody knows this is a revenge play. Everybody knows that.
And that's, you tapped into that point, but just like you just said, I think he's putting indictments on people that wear that red hat he wears, because you're not dealing with some fucking people that's just out of the loop and clueless about what the fuck
Yeah.
they do. You know what I mean? You're going after an FBI guy. Now you're going after a fucking lawyer who's probably going to eat your fucking lawyers up in court. She'll probably defend herself.
No, you know, they say if you defend yourself, you got a fool for a client. Now she's obviously a very well accomplished lawyer, but you don't defend yourself. It just, when you're presenting your case in front of a jury, it looks better in third person. So she's going to have a team of lawyers defending her.
I agree, but in recent history here, if she's going against those guys that went against Comey, she'll probably tell them, I want my money back. Y'all just go ahead and go on home. I got this.
So let me ask you this. Now he's went after Comey. He's indicted Leticia James. On his Truth Social post, he was telling Pam Bondi, we need to, start going after these people because they indicted me. He also mentioned Adam Schiff on that list. Do you think there's a chance that do you think it's likely Adam Schiff is going to be indicted next?
Probably. But like I said, man, I've said it in your comments and maybe in the panel. He's America's dumbest criminal, man. I mean, like Mo Better said, his mouth gets him in trouble. I think he said something via Truth Social that probably should have been directly sent to Bondi, and then he had to get back up there and basically say he apologized.
Well, it wasn't meant to be sent public. That was a mistake. I don't think he meant to send it out publicly. But when you say he's the dumbest criminal and his mouth gets him in trouble, I gotta disagree with you. I don't think Trump's dumb at all. You don't rise to the rank of president twice by being dumb. You don't even reach the level he has done in real estate, in business, by being dumb. I think he's very intelligent. We may not like what he's using his intelligence for, but I think the guy's very intelligent. I think he can sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah, until the Eskimo finds out it's not fucking ice. That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, yeah, I'm not totally disagreeing with what you're saying, but it takes a mark to take the bait. You know what I mean? And what I'm saying is, I think he's running out of marks, man. Like, if he never jumped in politics, he could be pulling strings behind the fucking scenes and nobody would know who the fuck he is. He'd be a ghost.
I hear what you're saying, but I really see Trump as a man who's going to ride off into the sunset as an old man. He's going to die of an old age. He's not going to ever do any time in jail. He's going to die with excessive amounts of generational wealth. How much better can you get?
Hey, like I said, I can't knock the hustle, but everybody has to pay that day. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to get on here the other day, and you was talking about church, and
my God,
and I'm like, Tim, you push back on me all the time and say it's not a fucking coat, but then you're telling me it's a coat. I don't understand, brother. Like, what are we talking about here? I mean, you say I understand your position and you play your role. But we can't push back on this shit no more, man. We gotta call shit for what it is, man.
I mean, I'm cool. Listen,
the shit stink and it's hot. It's a coat, bro. It's a coat.
I don't know yet. I mean, there's some folks.
I hear you. Wink. Yeah, I
hear you. There's some folks that voted for Trump because they genuinely believed. I mean, listen. Let me say it this way. And listen, even though I obviously lean a little bit left, and I didn't vote for Trump, I do believe I say this all the time. I do believe there's a legitimate reason to vote for Trump. One being, he promised some really good shit, man. He promised to end the war in 24 hours, lower the price of groceries and gas on day one. I mean, he promised to let us know what was going on in the Epstein list and expose the deep state. I mean, he made some really good promises. I can totally understand why people voted for him. He was offering good shit.
Tim. You from Chicago. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from that town. I'm in Chicago a lot. Okay. Bruh, you know a crackhead that can put a 350 engine and break it down on the fucking corner in the middle of the snow?
I've hired some. Crackheads.
Yeah, me too. But guess what? You gotta catch him.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You know that shit's gone, bro. You know it.
Oh
and the
my
next time you
God.
See him, I'll be back. So I mean, that's what we're talking about.
I'm laughing because that actually happened to me once, and it took me. And he was gonna build a basement in one of my apartments. It's a long story, but I had put like $600-700 in his hand, and he did exactly what you said. I had to threaten him so much his family paid me the money back, but he never put the. It just brings back old memories. That's been about 20 years ago, but
Yeah, but that's what I liken it to. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get right to you. Just give me 90 days, give me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's the same shit.
Can't rely on a crackhead.
Quietly, you know, I know. I don't know if you follow Mr. Global, but he said he secretly signed a EO. I guess over the last couple of days, and basically they said that any country that wants to do trade with us, it has to be agreed upon or a reciprocal tariffs, which means that it's basically a deal that we had in place before. You know what I mean? He created a problem as usual, so he can find a problem, so he can fix it, so he can look like, hey, I did that for y'all. So quietly, he's not gonna say nothing about it. All he's gonna say is all these deals he made. But he signed the EO that basically said, hey, we back to fair trade now.
How about we give him credit on one thing? Where we speaking negatively of some of the things he's done? It looks like he may have ended the Israeli-Palestinian war. Does he get credit for that? That's big. That's big.
No, they don't get credit for that. You know why he does it? Because history teaches us the future, man. You know, people don't want to talk about history. When the fuck has that war ever been over? When they gonna be quiet?
Well, okay, all right. Let's put it this way. Okay, if you want to suggest he didn't end the war, he greatly if they stop bombing him every day, that's a significant improvement, so that the Palestinians can go back to living some sort of a life that they were living and existing before October 7th. Compared to how they're living now, that's a significant improvement. They can barely even eat right now.
Bruh, I'm the $10 a gallon gas guy, man. You know why? Because at what fucking cost, bro? You know what I mean? So, okay, so now you're not bombing us no more, but quietly but surely, what all these fucking dump trucks and cement and all this construction doing over here? Is that for us? Probably not.
Well, Trump stated today during a press conference that they would not have to leave their homeland. So somebody's got to help them rebuild. We know that the Palestinians do not have enough on their own to rebuild their country. So either Middle Eastern countries or somebody from the West. I mean, let's put it this way: if they need, hold on, hang on.
About the crackhead that ran off.
No, but here
we talking about the same shit.
But hear me out. Hear me out. If right now, with the amount of sympathy that the Palestinian people have after everybody believing that Netanyahu was imposing genocide on that country, if they had some sort of a fundraiser, they would get tons of money from all over the world. So that would help them purchase materials and things needed to rebuild that country to some degree. I don't know if it'll be enough, but they would get some big donations.
And I agree, but guess who would probably run the fucking fundraiser?
I don't even want to say
exactly.
So just take their fucking money on it.
Exactly. So like I said, you're unalive right where you at because you're gonna unalive anyway. I mean, what are we talking about? You know, if we put ourselves in those people's position, they looking like, what the fuck is different?
I can see it now.
We already get treated like shit. So what's gonna change? You gonna put cherry on the shit?
I can literally see it now on Fox News in his deep voice. Help the Palestinian people.
Get ugly real fast. I mean, you know, I've seen people unalive for less, man. So
I'm really surprised. You know what? Before moving on from you, I'm really surprised it has not. I mean, when you look at what it did to that high rise in Chicago and all of these Home Depot parking lots and things like that, I'm really surprised nobody really has tried to harm them to any significant degree yet.
But has he been on the south side? I see him downtown. You know,
that building was on the south side. That high rise that they had
on the south side, though. You know what I mean? I mean that makes a difference of where it was at. I mean, well, like he was over at Inglewood or something like that. You know what I mean? So I mean,
that South Shore apartment. South Shore is a bad neighborhood. I mean, I live within walking distance from there.
I mean, I know what you're talking about.
I
like I said, man, I guess they hit the right building. Man. That's all I can say because. I know cats up there. I got family up there. I got family on 3 blocks, and I wish you would roll down that street. I don't give a fuck who you is.
You know what I think it is? I think it's that they come so fucking deep to an intimidating level that's what's giving folks, you know, the stand down mentality. They're coming really, really deep, and that's what's making people not fight back. But I got to move it on, man. I expect eventually somebody gonna take a pot shot at one of these guys. I cannot believe it ain't happened yet, but I expect it's gonna happen.
I got one more thing to say, man, because I couldn't get in yesterday when y'all, you and Mike was talking about MTG kind of pushing back. I know you think he has a deep hold on the whole MAGA crowd, but I think a few of them are looking for an out, and definitely the independents. So I've been saying, and I'll keep saying, the MAGA or the Republican that really calls this dude on his shit and stand their ground, that might be the next fucking president.
I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of pushback against anything with an R after his name for quite a while after President Trump, in my opinion. I mean, I think that he is going to set the Republican Party back quite a while because, I mean, listen, the Democrats got their problems too, but the idea of what the founding fathers set in place has been essentially destroyed under President Trump because it's just him. Congress is pretty much non-existent right now. They may as well not even be there. They basically are ghost payroll employees. They're not doing anything. Even when the government was open, they're doing nothing. They're kind of just sitting back, letting Trump do whatever he wants. So that's going to hurt the Republican Party going forward. But for the great, appreciate it.
I agree, man. One thing, I'm sorry, I had to hit back a little bit. I agree, but the poll's showing that, man, he's losing support and they want to go somewhere and they don't want to go to the left. So I'm just saying that's where I see the opening for whoever stands up to this guy, however that looks.
That's
what's
possible.
going to happen.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Tap the screen, get my man up.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
TikTok.
Appreciate it, Frederick. And by the way, folks, he is right. Tap the screen. I'm going to go ahead and reset it back over to Wi-Fi. I don't know why my device went down. I saw somebody in the comments said ICE found the Wi-Fi box. That was kind of funny. I did see that. Let me see if I can get this back over to Wi-Fi so we can continue on. I do want to make sure we have a reliable signal. I did, and I also want to make sure I address a quick chat here from Cody Locks Productions. Police are actually unhappy with the current TY's policy. I don't know what you're using a couple of abbreviations I don't get, but you said police are actually unhappy with the current someone's policy or TY's police and quitting ICE have told cities that we are doing the way you worded this, Cody, I'm not getting it. You said police are actually unhappy with the current TY's police and quitting. ICE have told cities that way are doing this, but Portland and Chicago are sanctuary cities, so they aren't allowed to help ICE. Like I said, I do believe that even under President Trump, you could have gotten the mayor of those cities, Portland and Chicago, even being, sanctuary cities, to work with ICE. The way Trump came in there, he didn't just come in there saying help. I mean, he's criticizing the mayors, and I mean, you don't insult your way to glory. And with President Trump, it's hard to work with the guy. Let's say Trump is doing everything right. It's still going to be hard for the left to work with him because he is so insulting. I mean, you're not going to come work with somebody who's just saying everything awful about you that they can get their hands on. So he's not a good person message-wise to work with. I mean, he says a lot of unnecessary shit. Like right now, the government is shut down. The current minority leader on the Democrat side in Congress is Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, so you sent out a picture of Hakeem in a sombrero. I guess that's supposed to be some kind of joke or whatever the case may be. The Democrats make it clear that they view it as insulting and even racist. What does Trump do? He adds mariachi music to it. Okay, so the MAGA, the right, finds that hilarious. But when it's time to ask that guy to come back to get the government back up and running, you think he's going to be eager to do it? You think that you're going to get people to work with you while you're simultaneously treating them like shit for laughs? That doesn't come across as a president that actually wants both sides to work together to get the government up and running. Okay, if you want to say negative things about Hakeem Jeffries, maybe you think he sucks as a representative, save that for when you've gotten them to work together and open the government up. You don't use that while you actually need the guy. To me, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen from President Trump. But I'm not going to call President Trump dumb because the stuff he does works. It works for him. MAGA likes that kind of shit. MAGA will watch Trump insult the Democrat Party and then blame the Democrats for not working with Trump. I don't know how Trump is smart enough to get that through. How you can convince your supporters that even though I'm talking about this guy like he's a piece of shit, it's his fault for not coming and working with me. He should ignore me treating him like shit and work with me anyway. I don't understand how Trump has been able to do that, but he absolutely has. So I'm not going to call him dumb because he does stuff like that. And MAGA's okay with it. Tim, good afternoon. MAGA ain't shit. Says, and Trump is now rat shit. Damn. Also, please fix your YouTube live feed. It is buffering. Yeah, I had to switch it over to Wi-Fi. Had an issue with my Wi-Fi service. I think I'm going to have to end up hiring some higher speed internet. I believe that's what I'm going to have to do. Alejandro says it's called humor. Yeah, okay. Posting a picture of Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero is humor. Fine. But once he makes it clear it's insulting, you don't double down on it unless you want to be insulting. If you're telling jokes about somebody who is clearly telling you your jokes are insulting me and you keep doing it, then the goal is to insult them. Now it's beyond humor. You're intentionally trying to insult the person. And that's what happened. Not to mention, once he was told it was insulting, then he added mariachi music. By the way, you don't just have the speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, saying that it's insulting. You got the whole Mexican community saying it's racist as well. I just don't understand right now why the government is shut down and you need liberals and Democrats to work together, how it makes sense to send a joke out. That's to me, it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of. And I'm not even going to mince words on it. It is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of. That is like me literally needing assistance from the police. And when they get to my house, I'm playing "Fuck the Police" on the radio. It is the dumb. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of. Wait until they actually are working together and getting the government back on track before you start telling jokes. Jokes have consequences. Jokes have consequences. Do you want the government back up and running, or do you want to have a comedy show? You can't get them both. You can't. And I'm going to submit this to you. Why everybody, particularly on the right, suggests that what he did was a joke and you can't take a joke. I'm going to tell you, how many of you, let's say somebody needed you to give them a jump on their car or something, and you drove to go give them a jump. Would you do it if they were insulting you while you were doing it? If they needed your help for any, would you continue helping somebody if they were insulting you and telling jokes that were at your expense? Would that be an incentive for you to want to keep helping them? Well, it's just a joke. I'm just telling jokes. Would you continue working with that person if an individual needed you, and while you were trying to help them out, they just decided to start cracking jokes that were insulting to you? You found the jokes they were doing were insulting. Would that be an incentive for you to continue helping them out? Now, I'd like to know in the comments, and I guess I'd ask also, what about Trump? What if a liberal or a Democrat needed Trump's help and they were insulting him all while doing? Do you think Trump would help him out? Do you think that Trump has thick skin, could take a joke, not a snowflake? Do you think Trump would help somebody out if they were insulting him the entire time? Let me know in the comments, because that's what people are saying. It's just comedy. The government shut down. People all over the damn country are not getting paid and don't know when they will get paid. And in the middle of that, we decide, well, let's have a little comedy moment. Let's make people laugh. Okay. Anyway, looking in the comments, if you call me Hitler, would I be interested in helping you? According to you, Mike, it's just a joke, right? It's just a joke. Heil. Let me go back to the box. Continuing on, tap the screen, get us on up to 50,000. We'll go to Holloway Saunders. Good evening, Holloway. Welcome to the program. He has the thinnest skin ever, but the right expects everybody else to have thick skin coming from Trump. Holloway, good evening. Holloway Saunders, are you there? Okay, I hear something. Okay, we'll go ahead and move it on. Apparently, Holloway Saunders is not there. Continuing on. By the way, we don't black ban or censor, so understand, folks, if you want to be a caller, come on over to Instagram, TikTok. We're also on Tim Liberals on Facebook currently live. We'll bring you right up. You don't have to have any relatable opinion whatsoever. Your politics is your politics. We don't censor, we don't block free speech. You don't have to agree with any damn body on this program. You can be critical of anybody on this program, including yours truly. That's how free speech works. Use it while you still got it. So if you favor this type of uncensored dialogue from all sides of the aisle without worrying about a host trying to limit your opinion, give your boy a follow if you happen to be watching on TikTok. If you're happening to be watching on YouTube, give your boy a sub. But if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, follow the program. I mean, Trump doesn't need to be insulted. And nobody needs to be insulted, I suppose. Let me go back to the box. We'll continue on with Mike. Good evening, Mike. Welcome to the program. So, hey, down goes Leticia James. What say you?
She ain't going nowhere. It's so funny. It's so funny. They chose the irony of and the hypocrisy of all this shit. They chose an attorney who's not even sanctioned to do this shit. The real estate attorney to file all these cases. So they're not worried about her losing her license because she's going to. The fuck she's going to, because there's no basis on either one of these indictments. They're just, it's all performative.
But I'll tell you, I don't know if it was you or somebody else I told it to the other day. I do understand these lawyers can lose their licenses and lose their, the bar could drop them or whatever the case may be, or the whatever it's called, the legal association or whatever. I get that. But when you're working with gazillionaires like President Trump, it might be worth losing it. I mean, look, he's going to leave as long as he takes care of you. Now, if he throws you under the bus, that's something different. And by the way, folks, help your boy get his TikTok cap goal. Feel free to help out, support the program. But I'm telling you, when it comes to defending Trump, I don't think some of these low-level lawyers care if it puts their law license at risk. They feel like as long as you ride with Trump, he'll look out for you on the back end.
But Tim, that shit is not true. I know you say that a lot too. Yep. That shit is 100%. Tell me somebody that he looked out for on the back end. Now than they were when they first started fucking with Trump.
It's hard to come up with anybody. It's hard
That's
to
what
come
I mean.
Up with
I mean, that's why do you think so many people are resigning? They saw what happened last time. They're like, fuck that. Yeah. But you have the people like her and Pam Bondi, and they're so far gone. They're going to continue to spew this shit, and what they're hoping on is that he's going to give them a pardon on his way out the door.
Oh, but I don't think that's a hope, Mike. I think that's an absolute certainty. They're going to bring up their Biden pardon. He pardoned Hunter at the Senate. He wasn't going to pardon Hunter Biden. Trump's going to pardon. Trump's pardon may look like a CVS receipt. He's going to pardon a lot of people. He's going to pardon a lot of people.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. That's if he's. But what I do is I agree with Fur. That was up earlier, though. I believe that there's some Republicans, the senators are getting restless. A lot of senators are getting restless.
But are they getting restless enough to actually do something? Talking shit with nothing to back it up, that ain't nothing. I mean, and we know Mike Johnson is inept. He is useless.
Yeah, well, and again, this is bad. But you know what, though? Are you hearing a lot of Trump supporters, and this is a genuine question, are you hearing a lot of Trump supporters backing the government shutdown right now?
No, they're blaming it on the Democrats.
Is that what you're hearing in your spaces?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I'm hearing more and more say little to nothing about whose fault it is. Because they can say it's the Democrats all they want, but it's been too easy to dispel. I know how they are, though. They are absolutely in a cult.
I'm not going to tackle the cult comment like I told for degree, but I will say as long as Trump is the Democrats' fault, they're going to say the same thing.
Well, I mean, again, listen, Tim, you know where I'm at with this shit right now. I'm like, listen, let them deal with the impact of this big, beautiful bill and these subsidies expiring. I don't want to see anyone hurt behind it. But if you don't want to listen to the people on your side that are telling you this shit ain't good and that the Republicans can open up the government anytime they want to by taking a nuclear option. They don't want to because they took our money to pay the wealthy. Period.
Yeah.
Full
Well, I'm going to tell you, like I was just saying with the whole Hakeem Jeffries and Sombrero incident or whatever, I don't think Trump wants the government open. I think the division is probably more favorable. Like I've been mentioning why they're deploying the National Guard to U.S. cities to squelch uprising. I think we are on a deliberate trajectory to an uprising. I think it's kind of the desired result. And
you're right.
Yeah. So
because again, Tim, they don't want the government open because they have to negotiate the very things they cut with the Democrats. If they put it back, that's the money that they were giving to the rich.
Now you gotta dissent individual. R in the comments says, I think you should actually talk to someone on the line that knows something that is not paranoid. Are you paranoid, Mike?
Listen, whoever that is, and listen, and I've heard that about 5 times a day from people that don't want to read or just stuck. They're the ones that whoever said that person is hoping and praying that I'm wrong. That's what the fuck they doing. That person that said that is because they're trying to convince themselves that what I'm saying is bullshit. That person is trying to convince themselves that this shit's not happening. It ain't me, because I've been clocking this shit for over a fucking year. Turn to that person and tell that person.
They're listening. They're listening.
Been saying this shit for over a year.
They're listening.
At the end of the day, and by the way, let's get back to this Hakeem racist shit. So they can do that, but Jimmy Kimmel can't say nothing.
It's a great point. That's a really good point, that you're going to complain about late night TV hosts saying things negative about Trump when he's using his social media account to say negative things about every damn body. That's a good point.
Every night Trump got something to say about somebody, but the minute a comedian says something, you want to shut the whole network down. Tim, I told you that he is the most soft. These motherfuckers are the most mediocre people. They're talking about everyone else whining. All they do is whine and lie. All they do is whine and lie. Mike Johnson gets on TV and whines and lies all day long. All of them. All they do is whine and lie and lie. And then when somebody checks them on their lie, they have the audacity to be. Did you watch the Pam Bondi hearing? Did you watch her the other day?
Yeah, she was just fighting. She was just pushing back and fighting.
But again, that's what they're going to say, right? Pushing back and fighting. That was an embarrassment. We look like some other foreign country with our you know how
Parliament look like Parliament.
Yeah, like the Parliament where they throwing chairs and shit at each other and all that. Honestly, I've been waiting for that to happen. I've been waiting for our moment to look like that bullshit. She wouldn't answer a question. No. She was deflecting. She was bringing up propaganda and all of this shit. And I'm like,
I think what she did, based on what I've seen, I think what Pam Bondi did is had probably her assistants find me everything negative on the people that are likely to interview me. And then when they started interviewing her, she started bringing up shit that they did. She had a negative file on there. I mean, yeah, she wasn't answering shit. She was pushing back and bringing up all kinds of, well, you did this and you did. It was bad. It was bad.
The Honorable Emile Beauvais to you. Bitch, ain't nothing honorable about that man, and ain't nothing honorable about you or anybody you working with right now. The idea that we're in this position with this country and they're still saying, I think Trump's doing a great job. These things are so detrimental. I don't care who's in office next. It's going to take years to undo this shit. I might go as far to say decades.
Wow.
And the reason I say that, Tim, the reason I say that, go ahead and ask your question.
No, I wasn't about to ask a question. I was about to say, I can see, I mean, certainly in regards to some of the relationships, like soybean, China used to buy a lot of soybean from the farmers here. Because of the tariffs, they don't buy any of it from here, and they made deals with Brazil or whatever. So you say it's going to take decades to undo. Yeah, that they made a long-term deal with Brazil. So to get them back to the level of purchasing soybean from us, it will probably be decades. Yeah, so some of the stuff that has happened, yeah, it's going to be a long time. Also, I think that the NATO member countries are no longer going to just leave security and things like that up to the United States. We've shown now that all it takes is one leader, and you can't really trust the United States and depend on them. So letting America take the lead is probably something that's also going to be pushed by the wayside, because Trump has shown that if you put all your eggs in the United States basket, that shit could really go wrong. So my guess is a lot of NATO member states are going to start really speaking up now.
Well, yeah. Well, and Fergus said it too. It's the next president is going to spend the first 4 years on an apology tour. The next 4 years, I mean, just think about. Well, listen, because this is sort of like a mafia shit, right? When something goes bad between families, they have to make it right by giving something. They have to show that they're not doing that anymore, right? We're gonna have to give so much. Like just that example about soybeans with China. We're probably gonna have to have zero tariffs. Wow. Right? I mean, you're gonna have to make it so feasible for them for a short period of time or a period of time that they want to even do business with us. Because once they pivot, what's the incentive to come back?
Yeah, and the problem is that's going to hurt our finances as American citizens. Yes. So there's a very good chance that coming out of this, we're going to be a lot less wealthy than we were going into it. Real quick, Will G says MAGA ain't shit. Says he's still saying we are fear mongering when 75% of the stuff we said is in effect. So he's saying that the right continues to suggest the left is fear mongering when damn near 3/4 of the shit they predicted is actually happening. Do you perceive it that way? You see it that way also?
Yeah, that's exactly. He's 100% right. And by the way, how the fuck I can't get my own sound? I mean, why for, as Eddie Murphy would say, why for I can't get my own goddamn sound? No, but
there you go. There you go. And also he says the other 25% is being held up in the court. So 75% of the shit we predicted has already come true, and the other 25% is only being stopped because the courts is holding them up.
Yeah, he's 100%. Tim, he's 100% right. And I don't care. I'm at a point now. I don't care whether MAGA. I don't give a fuck what they say or how they feel about it, because we're at a point right now that if you have a water leak in your house and it's in the other room, and you just keep saying it ain't happening, just keep standing where the fuck you're standing. That's all, right? Just keep standing where you're standing. It'll be at your feet.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's a slow leak or a big leak, it's ultimately going to be at your feet. And if that's how they feel about it, fine. We're watching it happen full stop right now. And as this is happening, we're spending. By the way, MAGA, every time Trump goes to indict somebody, that's costing us more money. So these frivolous lawsuits are costing us millions of dollars, and you shouldn't be suing federal prosecutors. They know what the fuck they're doing. So if you're wrong, do you think Leticia James and James Comey gonna go into court not prepared, Tim?
Yeah. I honestly don't believe either one of those cases are going to have any significant impact. I just don't.
No. You're right. But do you think they're going to let that shit? See, this is my thing. I don't believe either one of those is going to make it to trial. But do you think she is going to let it go there? You think James Comey going to let that shit die there? Or do you think they're going to turn around and sue the government Department of Justice?
I would expect they're going to sue. And that's why I said that if for some reason Trump has a poor showing in the midterm, they're going to impeach him immediately. I mean, now we're adding weaponized, clearly he's weaponizing the system because he got caught with the message to Pam Bondi. Bringing up, what the fuck? Oh, real talk. What the hell was that? Thank you. Wow. Okay.
Real talk trying to look.
Oh my God. All right. Shout out to you. Interrupted the show with that shit. Thank you. But
you know what, Tim? At the end of the day, they're going to. There's over 300. I don't know if you knew this. There's over 300 open lawsuits against the Trump administration right now. 300. Over 300 lawsuits. Whether you win them or you lose them, that clock is ticking on resources, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I mean, shit, do you even feel brave enough to bring these lawsuits against Trump? Because what the judges that are everything that is negative to Trump you can expect some sort of reprisal from him. So the judges in these lawsuits, the prosecutors in these lawsuits, he's gonna be calling them all liberal appointees. And I mean, you know how Trump works. So
I get it.
Go ahead.
But I don't think, I honestly believe that like today Trump was saying, because they didn't strike a deal to open up the government again, now they're going to start pulling funds from Democratic programs only. I don't know if you saw that, only. So again, he can, he said that today.
Me and Miss Mobetta talked about that, because I stated that once you start pulling federal funds from Democratic programs only, which is obviously unfair, you're going to start having some Democratic states, like I can see Gavin Newsom saying, well, if you're not going to fund our shit, we're going to use the federal money that you're using to fund the stuff in Alabama and keep our money in California. And then, of course, Trump has to respond by then sending federal agents to California to demand the money. This is where the civil stuff starts breaking out. Who just did that? Real talk. Real talk, man. Absolutely. Thank you. You're doing things I haven't seen in a long time. Thank you, Real Talk. But that's what I'm saying, is that what Trump is doing, when you start, what he's doing is basically splitting the country in half. Every state contributes to the federal coffers. You can't start isolating Democrats from the federal coffers that they contributed to. How do you do that? That's like taxation without representation.
Exactly. I mean, everything that they're doing, basically, and it's funny, people like Gen X in the comments.
I see them.
Shut it down. Right.
I see them.
The Dems close the government. Man, I don't know if that's oxygen that you own, or if you got your hose connected to your damn muffler. I don't know which one it is, Gen X. I don't know. Man, I want to check your oxygen tank to make sure that it's not nitroglycerin or some shit, because that shit is crazy. But here's what I'm saying, Tim. At the end of the day, in all seriousness, we're watching it happen. We're watching, this country's going to suffer. Black, white, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. If white America don't wake up and realize that this country has always made your life, the middle class and lower class, expendable just to hurt minorities, if this time we're living in doesn't open your eyes, he must have got some of that.
I don't know, but I'm glad to see him back, goddammit. I ain't seen a galaxy on this program in weeks. Real talk, thank you. Go ahead, Mike. I'll wrap it up with you. Go ahead.
No, you good. And by the way, I think I sent you a galaxy, and I think Ken fans, but that's what you do to brother. That's okay.
Get the
there we go. No recognition. That's all right. That's cool. That's cool. I ain't tripping. I'll send your ass a Milky Way with about 3 pennies and nickels or some shit. Fuck that. I ain't seen you. But no, I'm playing with you. Shit. You don't always shout out to your alter ego. Anyway.
I shout out to everybody. When I get support, I shout it out immediately. Stop playing games.
Yeah, I'm not messing with you. But no, at the end of the day, and I mean this sincerely, if this country doesn't start looking at what really is driving this, you're going to wake up like those farmers. You're going to wake up and find your neighborhoods and your rights. Because the one thing about Trump,
it must be something about having you on the program, Mike. God damn. Really?
I told you to bring me up more often. They try
to
get us up out of here.
Wow.
Well, listen, people need to look in there. People need to really, really pay attention, because the one thing about Trump, when white folks start pushing back, he's gonna treat y'all just like everybody else. And that's a fact. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. He is. Listen, think about this, Tim.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If you push back on Trump, it doesn't matter if you're green. It does not matter what your race is. If you push back on Trump, he's gonna. I mean, obviously, Jim Comey is not black. I mean, I absolutely agree with that.
Well, I'm not talking about Dems. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she probably has.
I can't believe he ain't fucked with Marjorie Taylor Greene yet. Real talk. Holy cow, Mike, what is going on?
Hey man,
what the fuck?
You got shit jumping off today. Look at that. I love it. Oh shit! Who sent that to me? Whoever did that.
Oh no! Well, that was to you. That did go to you. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hate to move it on from you, but I absolutely do. But wow.
Listen. And if you move on from me and all your gifts plummet, then that means that we probably tariffed your shit. Now listen, real quick, before I go.
So we about to go to MAGA next, probably. But go ahead.
I know. Yeah, real.
Shit.
Real
Where is he finding that? He testing out the graphics card in my phone. I've never seen so many pretty stuff.
He doing his thing. I love it. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna move on from what you're saying. Again, I'm gonna say it again. MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene probably got one, maybe two more times to say something public, because he understands if he goes there, she's not a quiet one. She's gonna be a loud one. Right?
He'll make that bitch disappear. I get it. She might be loud. Trump will make Marjorie Taylor Greene disappear. I mean, you've seen Liz Cheney had been a well-respected member of the Republican Party 20 years or more. He made her disappear. Same thing with Mitt Romney. He'll make that bitch disappear. I get it that she done things for him, but if Marjorie Taylor Greene steps out of line, Trump snaps his finger, MAGA will turn on Marjorie Taylor Greene overnight. I don't think that's going to last very long. I got to move it on, though, Mike. My God, I don't know what you did to my viewers, but wow, unbelievable.
If that shit stopped, you'll be texting me on screen talking about bring my black ass back up now, won't you?
Maybe so with Kelbrew and Alter Ego and Real Talk just killing it. God damn. I
appreciate you, bro.
Damn. I feel like I'm what was the guy named Jerry Lewis hosting a telethon? Wow. Goodness gracious. Thank you, gentlemen. Mike.
Really quick. Whoa.
Real quick.
Really quick. I want you to look up Jonathan White and Mike and Samantha Lee White. They got convicted today. I'm gonna stop. They got convicted today for bestiality with their dog.
What the fuck? What does that got to do with this show?
It has to do with behavior, but I'll talk about it later on. But I just wanted to tell you that.
Oh my!
I told you that for a reason. In a couple more days, you'll understand why I asked. Everybody on here is gonna be like, "Oh shit, that's why he asked."
Okay,
you'll see.
We'll talk about it. All right, Mike. Appreciate it. Bestiality. Holy shit. By the way, Real Talk, Alter Ego, Kelbrew. Man, you guys showed up and showed out. Certainly, I'm assuming I may hear from TikTok asking me, "Are you sure your account has not been hacked?" Appreciate you folks showing the program love. They no longer unaliving the dog. They sleeping with them. I haven't heard about this one. And I see D Nice taking out your suckers and you don't know how I did it. D Nice says that is MAGA behavior, sleeping with dogs, huh? They're not eating the dogs and cats, they're making love to them. I have not heard this. So I'm in the dark on this particular topic. I have not heard about anybody eating having sex with dogs and cats. But he said Jonathan White. I don't remember the other name. Today was a good day, Tim Paulsoff. Yes, sir, indeed. Liz Cheney says she would join the Democrats because their politics are aligned. Well, she didn't have a choice. Trump threw her in a garbage can. If you go back to, despite all the problems the Republican Party has with Liz Cheney, if you go back to January 5th, the day before January 6th, she was in good standing with the Republicans. And that was the end of Trump's term. January 5th is only a couple of weeks before Trump was due to leave office. The only thing Liz Cheney did wrong is she did not agree with Trump trying to steal the election. That's the only thing she did. And that was enough for MAGA to just throw her in a garbage can. She voted with Trump like 95% of the time or whatever while she was a representative throughout his first term. She did everything possible to suggest she was a MAGA supporter. The only thing she didn't agree with was him trying to steal the election. And that was enough. 25% tariffs on semi-trucks. Soon expect rate tank. 25% tariff on semi-trucks. For a truck, the parts are made everywhere, though, are they not? You can't just impose a tariff on a truck, can you? Because I see you say it's 25% tariffs on semi-trucks. Soon expect rate tank. Well, I know they got the Volvo semis. Mack trucks are made here, are they not? Kenworth. I'd have to look more into that. I'd have to look more into it. Gas is not down You say gas is not down $1 in Cali and the price is stable because Saudi Arabia is producing oil. I don't think gas prices under President Trump are that bad. That's my opinion. I'm not currently traveling the country like I used to as an over-the-road driver, so prices are going to be different in different states. But from what I've seen in the few states I've been to this year, I haven't seen gas prices shoot up under Trump from Biden. In fact, I think they've went down slightly. Trump is not bragging about prices anymore, so that speaks volumes, because if Trump is doing something well, he brags about it quite often and frequently. He's not bragging about the price of groceries. Now, I know he had stated once before that gas was $1.98 a gallon. Everybody knew that was a lie when he said it, but he did say gas was $1.98 a gallon a few months ago. He hasn't said anything else about the price of fuel lately. In fact, most of the key promises he's made as a campaigner to better the country for the American people, he's not bragging on any of that account. I mean, he's more focused on stuff like this, going after Leticia James. Now, deploying the National Guard is a campaign promise. And securing the border, getting out the immigrants, that is a campaign promise. But in terms of promises that is actually making the lives of Americans better, can you think of any of them that he actually accomplished? I'd like to hear from you folks. I'm not seeing them. Maybe I'm just blind, but I'm not seeing how the life of the average American, in terms of your bank account and things like that, I'm not seeing it. Maybe you got money in crypto or something. Maybe it's coming from that angle. Let me know. They are shrinking packages at the same price. Shrinkflation is what that's called. I'm done. Shrinkflation, where you sell people you sell it to them for the same price, but they're getting less of it. Like, a candy bar is smaller, but it still costs the same price. Shrinkflation. Going back to the box, Top Dog had been holding on. Good evening, Top Dog. Welcome to the program. What did it say? Guest disconnected. Right, and it hasn't been a year yet. This has been a fun year. By 2027, I'm more worried about AI. Well, a fun year how? How has this been a fun year in this country? Other than, I guess, maybe enjoying Trump sticking it to the liberals, the Hakeem Jeffrey sombrero jokes, getting laughs at the liberals' expense. I guess that's where the fun has came, but you're still paying an astronomical amount for your groceries. You're still struggling to live the way you were under the Biden administration. Just because he could make you laugh a couple of times, it suddenly became a fun year, huh? All of the bitching and complaining about grocery prices under Biden didn't really mean that much. As long as the president can make me laugh, I'm okay with it. Let me know, because that's starting to make me laugh a little bit. This year has been the worst. This year has been worse than the last, says Arshafine. Well, I think MAGA favors this year because they favor who is currently at the helm. So even if it's the same as Biden, it's Trump driving, so we trust him more. Real talk. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My God. Thank you. My God, man. You showed up and showed. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I know. It was all good, though, because I wanted to come in like I normally do, but when somebody else tried to hit like I would hit, my pettiness had kicked in. Or if it should be like that.
Hey. I can't hate. Nothing but gratitude over here.
Oh, that's for sure, sir. You one of the real ones. So it should be like that. But one of the things I had wanted to clear up and say, because when I don't catch you on live, I watch a YouTube YouTube that you keep up or whatnot like that. So the other day, as I was going through them, I heard that it was another like real talk on here, or whatever the case should be like that, and he had called Den Cal a liar about something that he had said, and I had an issue with that because I was hoping that, y'all wasn't thinking it was me, like the original Real Talk.
I did think it was you. I absolutely did.
Yeah, I thought that when you said that.
I did think it was you.
I was like, I wouldn't call them kind of liar. I don't should be like that. He's speaking back, just like Mr. Mike, Mr. Mobile and all the rest of them should be like that. So, I just had to come back and hit hard like that. So when it's Real Talk here, how.
Yeah, well, you as what is her name? And Natalie King once said, Natalie Cole once said, you're unforgettable. So
I got your Christmas gift ready though.
Yeah, you will.
I'll get you with 10 galaxies.
Huh?
I said on Christmas I'm gonna hit you with 10 galaxies.
Oh shit! Hold.
Sure,
Let me get my Mariah Carey queued up, man.
You better sing it. Okay, so it'd be like that. 'Cause I'm coming.
Oh my God! Appreciate you, man.
What's up, sir?
Appreciate that. So, what did you say?
No, I was just saying, what's up, sir?
No. Well, we're talking about the fact that it seems like Trump may have a hit list at play.
I agree. I think so as well. Whatnot like that about the things that he's doing, especially like when I had watched him admit that he was taking people free speech away, or whatever the case should be like that, and then going after Leticia James because literally what she had did. I mean, she went by the law or whatever the case should be like that. It was based on evidence. So him going after his political opponents, like I just totally disagree with that because that's like weaponization. Exactly what he was talking about. What's happening to him, but it seems like now he's okay with it when he's doing it to others.
And so is MAGA. MAGA had a big problem with the weaponized DOJ, and you're right. The minute it started coming from Trump, a lot of the things that they were claiming that the Democrats were wrong to do to Trump, the minute it became Trump doing it to them, yeah, you're right. Like for instance, Mike made a good reference to folks being critical of late night TV hosts, insulting Trump like Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that. But then the minute Trump starts doing it to them, it suddenly becomes okay.
Correct. Or not, especially with that Jimmy Kimmel thing or whatever case it be. Like he had a problem with people saying 95% of negative things about him. That was a problem for him. But he seemed to be okay with news media saying 95% of the good things about him, like gut feel or whatever. He don't think that they should be canceled. When they were saying 95% times against like Kamala and Biden, he felt like that wasn't a problem. But
he's not looking for fair speech. He's looking for pro-Trump speech. No. So if you're on TV and 90% of the time you're speaking favorably of him, he's okay with that. He just don't want you speaking negatively of him.
And his supporters feel the same way. And the part that trips me out about it because they will do it, but pretend like they don't do it and won't acknowledge it. I just feel like if y'all know that, y'all don't care about Trump committing crimes and you only care about the other side committing crimes, then just say that.
Let's be clear. They don't believe that Trump is committing any crimes. They believe that was all a witch hunt and that was made up just to silence Trump or prevent him from being president again. They don't believe he committed any crimes.
Yeah, but like one person once said, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And if this is the case, and our government system is about laws. And when you go to court, you got to provide your evidence, and the opposing side provide their evidence.
Yeah.
If you can prove it, then that's what we go by. Now, even though there are times where people might make a case and might pretend to prove something, and it might be wrong, but the basis of right and wrong and proof is still the same. They will accept evidence, like circumstantial evidence that brings no charges against Obama or like Comey and stuff like that. But when it comes down to Trump, they moral standards seem to change, and I just don't really understand that.
Well, it's simply put, they're pro-Trump. And real quick, T2 in the comments, I do apologize, I didn't reach your super chat earlier. It says, "Will timetable stream soon? I give you more, but it seems like it's stuck on 2. We salt and pepper. I try to get my friend JD Vance on here. Where I wish you could get JD Vance on here. I would love to talk to JD Vance. I actually interviewed President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen. He had a TikTok channel. It hasn't been on there in a while, but he let me interview for about a half hour one time. And I wish I was able. He has it, but I wish I could have got a recording of it because it was the day before he was going to testify before Congress, and I asked him tough questions. The audience didn't like it, but I'm like, hey, you gave me a chance to interview. What do you want me to say? But yeah, Michael Cohen, I got a chance to interview him. I would absolutely talk to JD Vance.
Sir, did you just recently see Mike Johnson on C-SPAN when he was being asked questions about by Republicans?
Mike Johnson on C-SPAN. I don't believe so. When was this?
Mike Johnson. This was probably like a day or 2 ago.
I don't know.
But he haven't been on C-SPAN in a long time, and a person that was interviewing him even had said that. But he said this. He said right now he feels like it's important to come on C-SPAN. And one of the ladies who's a Republican had basically said that she's a Republican and she's a part of a military family, and talked about how, on the 15th, how their family will lose benefits and basically how it would hurt them. And she told him, and she was like, and you have the power to go ahead and be in the House Speaker. You have the power to go ahead and change it. And she feel like it's disingenuous from him to go about how he's doing when he makes six figures and they suffering. And the crazy part about it to me was when Mike Johnson responded and said that he is upset. That's why people are saying that he's mad Mike Johnson or whatnot like that. And then immediately went to blaming Democrats and saying it was the Democrats' fault or whatever the case should be like that. I mean, totally disregard what the lady said. Another Republican, he was a man, came on there and talked about how, Mike Johnson is using a talking point or whatever the case should be like that. And he clearly denied that because the man said that basically he's allowing Trump to do whatever Trump want to do or whatever the case should be like that. And
everybody knows
for me
that.
Personally, For me personally, I see them saying that Democrats are trying to get health care for illegal immigrants or whatever the case is. But if that's the case, then show the actual proof that they are trying to do these things or whatnot like that. You don't need
to. That's one of the good things about Trump. He don't need to show proof. If Trump accused you of something,
Correct.
MAGA's going to believe it. Like they're eating cats and dogs. He didn't need to prove that. The election stolen. He don't need to prove that stuff. If Trump accuses you of something, that's good enough. You don't need to prove it. So you're not going to get any proof that Democrats are favoring illegal immigrants because you don't need to. Why would you risk trying to prove something and have folks show your proof is not necessarily valid when your supporters already believe you? So you just now he said Portland was burning to the ground. Now I don't think his supporters believe that, but they do believe that Antifa's a terrorist outfit. I mean, so you don't need to prove a lot of stuff. And even though they don't believe Portland is burning to the ground, they were totally okay with him using that as an excuse to deploy the National Guard. So the whole go ahead.
Stephen Miller was just interviewed recently on CNN, and he was asked about Trump comments about like these things, like the city is burning down or whatever the case should be like that. And he was basically saying that why is Trump saying that when they're getting reports and seeing videos of these things not even happening? And beyond him answering that question, he basically deflected to, like they trying to hide stuff and, we are trying to stop all these crimes or whatever the case should be like that. And we have the right to send in the National Guard, like that disaster of Pam Bondi hearing. Sir, did you notice the part when Pam Bondi was asked, did she see the photos that the witness had came out and said that had Trump and Epstein?
Yes,
Trump and,
I did see that.
Did you see how she had got stuck and paused and couldn't say anything about that or whatever the case should be like that? So I don't know. Like this Trump administration, man, I just really think it's a danger to us all, even his own supporters. Just like the farmers.
I mean, it's essentially defend Trump at all costs, in my opinion. And real quick in the comments, T2 says, my daughter and son are half black, two different women. My son and daughter, they have white blood in them. What the hell? Okay, yeah, I get some weird comments, but listen, he sent the super chat to say that. I don't know what. So your son and daughter are mixed, and they like the fact that they are partially white. Okay, all right.
I have another thing for you, sir. You remember when Trump came out on Juneteenth, and he was talking about it was too many holidays, and we shouldn't have all these.
We talked about it in detail. He's going to get rid of Juneteenth, in my opinion.
Okay, so did you notice just recently? I believe he signed an executive order for like Christopher Columbus Day or something like that to actually like make it a national holiday.
It is a national holiday.
He just recently did.
Christopher Columbus.
It was. Maybe I'm not saying the name right, but it was some executive order just recently, something about him doing a national holiday. I was just recently watching it earlier, but I watched so many things I forgot. But the problem that I had with that is because for you to celebrate, for you to come out and say on Juneteenth something that's meaningful to a lot of people to feel like, it's a problem that we have that holiday and then come out and then talk about how you in support of another holiday. I mean, for me, it's just an issue. And I agree with you that I would agree that he will probably do get rid of Juneteenth or whatever the case. Same thing what he doing with the Smithsonian or whatever the case should be like that, like trying to.
He's no fan. I mean, he talked about slavery as being mentioned too much. And obviously he renamed the bases back at the Confederate generals or what. He is no fan of African American history. I think that's pretty obvious.
And that's the part I didn't really understand, because he talked about when it came down to the Confederate generals and slave owners, you know, in his rallies that, oh, you know, they trying to erase your history or whatever, that's your heritage or whatever the case should be like that. But then when it comes down to people of color, he's doing the same thing. Stephen Miller was asked, also that recent interview he was asked, because there has been reports that their deportation has been targeted towards people of color, or whatever the case should be like that. And he had asked Stephen Miller, is that the case? No, Stephen Miller said, oh, that's a stupid question. No, that's a stupid question I asked. This is the reason why we're doing it. But he never said, no, this is not what it is. Yeah. But we clearly see what it is.
Yeah. Well, to me, if they're doing things based on race, I always say racism is like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. You have even people that you know are absolutely intolerant towards others. They always deny that. I mean, even the Klan says they're not racist. They're just for the promotion of the white race. I mean, you think about how many racist politicians we've had since this nation was founded. Try counting the ones that you know that have said, I am a racist. They all deny it. I mean, even back in the 30s and 40s, it makes sense that he wouldn't answer the question in detail. It's like I said, it's like Fight Club. You don't admit it. You never admit it.
It's just like somebody who commit crimes or a criminal. You know, every criminal that goes to jail always gonna say that they innocent. They are not guilty, or whatever case may be like that, even though their actions may have shown that they committed a crime. And it's just so crazy to me, because people would bring up, you know, Trump did this for blacks, he did that for blacks. But what about when him and his dad had got sued for discrimination of people of color on their properties? So for me, like if you are for people of color, you are for everybody. These kind of things wouldn't show up in your history.
Yeah. Well, they're going to say that was a long time ago and they've evolved out of that. Like they would bring up Biden or something and say, listen, he used to hang around Senator Byrd or something. I mean, they're going to say he evolved out of it. I got to move it on, real talk, but I do agree some of the second coming of Trump, there were things to bring up in Trump's first term, the funding of HBCUs and things. There's nothing I see so far this second term where you can demonstrate how much he favors or likes black people. I haven't seen anything there this second go around. It's still early. He's not even 25% of the way done, but I don't see anything. I'll give you the last word.
Like Mr. Mike said, I'm gonna land my plane here. But at the same time, like in his first term with the funding of HBCUs or whatnot like that, yeah, he had added that in there. Yeah. But when you looked at the budget bill, you know, there wasn't really no money going towards the HBCUs or whatever the case should be like that. Last thing, this is the last thing I have. Now we all know who the real talk is, or what case should be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but make sure everybody remember. And Mr. Mike, no, I didn't get no Trump money, and I didn't get my Doge check, or what case should be like that. Thanks for bringing me up, sir.
Anytime, unforgettable. That's what you are. All right, tap the screen, folks. Get the likes on up to about 80,000. We can certainly make that happen. He's targeting everything of color. Says Af Israel. Is that what I'm reading? Afri Israel. It's like it's got an African and Israel tied together. Let me know. He cut it in half and now he's cutting it, period. And that's what I was going to say. We can talk about Trump did not allocate a lot of money to HBCUs or whatever during his first term. His second term, he would cut that shit. I mean, yeah, his second term, I don't think there's anything there. And I'll tell you why I say that. Even the supporters of Trump who will tell you there's no way in hell anybody should be calling Trump as racist. They're not bringing up anything he's done as pro-black this time as a defense. They were bringing up stuff the first term. They're not even presenting anything. They're just saying you're wrong to say he's racist, but they're not coming with any counters. T2 says, I sent my shit and still banned. Who banned you? How did you get banned, T2? And I see you said that your relative is they love being white. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. If you like, listen, people say I'm black and I'm proud. If your argument or your statement is I'm white and I'm proud, it is what it is. Nothing wrong with that. Those would be considered Democrat programs, says Real Talk. Now for certain. Let me go back to and truckers are good. Now, Will G, you're talking about these tariffs that are going to be imposed on trucks, and you're saying the truckers are screwed, the rates will sink. I'm actually surprised in the trucking industry there has not already been major problems with the tariffs, with our relationship with Mexico and Canada in the tank. I'm surprised there already has not been some significant downgrade in the quality of life. Because I got folks I still talk to because I was an over-the-road driver not long ago, and I still talk to some of the folks in the industry, and I be asking them, do you still get plenty of freight? Is the rate still decent? I mean, the rates sucked when I got out of it in 2020, but you could make a living if you're willing to do a bunch of miles and you get a good carrier. You can still make some money, but I was just wondering, have there been any changes since President Trump got in there with the tariffs and the amount of merchandise coming back and forth across the borders and things like that? Has people saw anything? Talk about all the bodies in Texas popping up. I have not heard about that, Deadpool. There are bodies popping up in Texas. Tell me they're not people of color. I have not heard about that. So you were the first to tell me about that. What's the number to call? I can answer a lot of your questions. Or you got to go on TikTok or Instagram, or currently we're on Tim Liberals with an S on Facebook. If you come on one of those programs, we'll bring you right up. Doesn't cost you anything to call. Doesn't cost you anything to download Instagram or TikTok. And of course, you respond by saying you don't have social media, but you're talking to me via YouTube. You do understand YouTube is social media, right? Okay. There were over 300 viewers at one time until the whole show is out as far as it left. It fluctuates. We've had over 2,000, so it moves. By the way, we're on two panels, so it's currently over 300. By the way, so you're just seeing on your side of the aisle. There's another YouTube broadcast that's running simultaneously with yours. Did you see the rare time Biden spoke to the press? He had written people to call on with their pictures in case he couldn't remember who they were. Biden was losing his mind. I don't know if bringing him up now makes any difference. He's gone. He's irrelevant at this point. But it is pretty clear that Biden and the Democrats are telling us that Biden may have been a little bit more healthy than he actually was. But he's gone now. I don't know what the relevance of that is to bring it up other than to just continue to trash the guy, but he's gone. Let me look at the comments here. We'll go back to the box. What does it say? I bet the lot lizards miss me. I never got involved with the lot lizards. I seen a couple that were interesting, but I never officially got involved with the lot lizards. But I did see a couple. I'm like, I'd buy that for $1. Let me go back to the box. One and only Dencal. Absolutely, let's judge his entire presidency after 9 months. That's fair and a typical Democrat. Look, I don't know about judging this whole presidency after 9 months, but you can come. When Biden was in office for his first 9 months, we were judging him, were we not? Dencal, good evening.
Good evening.
So down goes Leticia James. What say you?
I wouldn't say she's gone down, but she's been brought back into the public eye. Yeah. I think a lot of things are going to happen prior to her actually sitting down in a courtroom when it comes to discovery and when it comes to revealing everything that they're accusing her of, and they get to ask questions, to the prosecutor. So, yeah, I guess this part of his redemption tour, he's gonna make them pay, and everybody's like, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like if they, right. The people that were fiscally responsible are now okay with spending tens of millions of dollars going after people that they have no fucking chance of actually convicting. But if that's what they want to do, that's the Trump effect. He can make you feel different than you normally felt. I want you to hear this. This came in from Trump yesterday. And to me, this is very concerning to have the president say this.
We've made it 1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. I've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at.
So he just admitted, he actually used a quote, "We took freedom of speech away." Now, MAGA's been adamant from day one that you're not losing any rights under President Trump. Now, that's an actual quote from him. We took freedom of speech away. And he goes on to admit the courts had said flag burning is freedom of speech. And then you hear him say, but, and he did what he could to take it away. So do you see this the way I do, as if we are losing freedom of speech, we're losing First Amendment rights?
I don't know how you could listen to the man say, we taking rights away from you, and they come back, and I hear it, man. But all I hear from them is you're taking it out of context. You didn't hear the whole thing. Like, you got to listen to the rest of what he was saying. The man said, yes, we took away rights. And even the Supreme Court disagreed with us, but we had to do it. That's what he said.
But Mac, and by the way, real talk, I'm not going to let that go unnoticed. God damn, I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. But no, the right, though, is adamant that under Trump, even with him saying stuff like that, you're not going to lose any rights under Trump. People say that all the time. What rights have you lost under Trump? Now you got him on video actually saying we took your freedom of speech away. Let me ask it to you this way. Do you think that we may be at risk of losing any other rights under President Trump?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's just really getting on the roll now. He's just really taking control of the Supreme Court and all of the judgments that have been coming out from them. They've not been ruling on anything. All they've been doing is saying, yes, he can continue doing it until it goes through the court system. They're not ruling whether this stuff he's doing is constitutional or not. They're just saying, yeah, he can keep on doing whatever it is he's doing. They said, we're not saying him firing all of these federal workers are constitutional, but we're going to let him keep doing it until it works its way up through the appellate court and gets back up to us. Yeah. So all of those people get hurt in the process.
Wow. Now, but how about this? Listen to this one now, because obviously the flag burning thing, I think it was ruled on by the Supreme Court back in the 80s or something like that. Draco in the comments says, we survived 220 years without the right to burn the flag. You don't need it, crybabies. How do you respond to someone who suggests that? Look, I mean, we survived for several decades, several generations without having that right. You don't need this right.
To me, it's kind of fascinating how people can say when things work their way that they were the right things, but when they work against them, they were the wrong things. Like the same people I've heard people say, well, I don't think that should have been a law in the first place that you could burn. I don't think is their justification. I don't think it should have been constitutional in the first place. That doesn't make any sense for somebody who says that they believe in the Constitution. The things that they don't think that are right, they are fine with people taking those rights away.
Yeah. And that's frightening to me, because I'm sure if you look at the way the left views America versus the right, there's a whole lot of things that are happening in liberal cities and liberal states that the right don't think should be allowed. I don't think a man should be able to marry another man. I don't think you should be able to marry outside of your race. I don't think you should be able to terminate a pregnancy. They can come up with a million of these. And my guess is, because they think that way now, they probably wouldn't have a problem if those rights were lost also.
Right. And so when, not if, but when a Democrat is put in position with both the House and the Senate, do not be surprised when they say, we're going to use a constitutional emergency to do away with your pew-pews. Don't be surprised when they say women can just have ABs up to the 9th month and including afterwards. Don't be surprised when the pendulum swings all the way.
I don't want it to swing that far, didn't Cal? Afterwards.
Hey, I'm just, look, that's what look, we're looking at the worst possible things that could happen from our executive branch right now. When he can literally make a mistake He was supposed to be DM and Pam Bondi, but he made a mistake and made it public to everybody. And he told her, we got to go after my enemies right now. We're looking bad. They got the advantage. We got to take them out now. Like, that is literally what the executive branch is not supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you a question that I never thought I would have to ask anybody in regards to an actual commander in chief. But do you think there's anything that MAGA would have a problem with Trump doing?
No, they're fine with murder. They're fine with pretty much anything he did. You can find MAGAs right now that when we used to use that example of him saying he could kill somebody on Fifth Avenue in front of everybody and he wouldn't lose support. That is a reality now. Like, he's literally on the world stage in international waters, just blowing people up.
Yeah, speaking of those boats being blown up off the coast of Venezuela, the president of Colombia just said the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that the last boat we blew up was Colombian with Colombian citizens on board. Those were his people. He stepped up and said, these were my people you blew up. Now, of course, Trump has stated that they're Venezuelan drug dealers trying to bring fentanyl into America. The president of Colombia has stated that we blew up some of his people.
That is why we have the rule of law and international law. You can't just blow people up and say they was doing something bad. That's why I've done what they call narcotic interdiction ops many times in my military career. Well, we go down off the coast of Colombia and Venezuela and all down south, and we track these people. We find them, we notify them that we know what they're doing, we stop them. If they do not stop, we use means to shoot out their engines. We stop them, we board their ships, we take them into custody, we take all of the product and we present it in front of a court of law to say these people were doing this crime. You can't just blow people up and say they were part of a drug organization with no way to prove who the people are or anything. That is against international law. And I know MAG is going to say, we don't care. We just want to stop people from sending drugs into the country and killing our people. That's not the way shit works. If that's the case, you saying that we should drop bombs on hospital because we got a bunch of doctors writing a bunch of scripts for opioids to people.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the Netanyahu approach. That's kind of exactly what he did. I mean, look, if Hamas goes in a hospital, then the hospital's fair game. I mean, that's what he's been doing. So I guess, it's awful. I mean, it's funny to some degree, but it's awful because that's what was happening. If you're Hamas and you run into a school, then the school is fair game. I mean, that's the way the Israelis were looking at it. That's 90% of the structures in Gaza have been destroyed. I mean, you're talking all of their hospitals have been bombed. All of their churches and schools have been bombed, like every one of them. So, yeah, all of them. So, if you're Hamas and you pick up somebody's baby, they'll shoot you through the baby. I mean, you're a target. It doesn't matter what you're hiding behind. You are a target.
It doesn't matter. They are literally the orders that those IDC forces have been given is that when the people come, because they know the aid trucks are coming, instead of putting signs out showing people where to go, when they come close enough, you start shooting, and then that's where they know where the line is not to come over, is where the people are getting shot. And that's how they do crowd control.
By threatening to kill them.
Not threatening, by killing them. They say once you see all of these people get mowed down at this point, that's when everybody else knows not to go any further than that. That's how they're doing crowd control.
You know something, that this is somewhat off topic, but I had this discussion with some of my beloved MAGA. Real talk. God damn. I'll talk to you in a minute. Real talk. But this is one of the discussions I had with one of my some of my MAGA viewers about the Bible supposedly says that we're supposed to bless Israel And you've seen the Ted Cruz thing also saying it. And because I think me and you discussed this before. Appreciate that, C. Osby, the hat mustache. One of the things I was talking about is what happens if Israel elects a Hitler-like dude or a Stalin-like dude or something like? Do we still have to bless them because it's in the Bible? I mean, if they're literally bestowing evil on other nations, do we still honor the Bible?
You're saying if they elect somebody,
I'm trying to be nice to Netanyahu.
Look, I get it, but the international courts, we got our eyes, we got our senses, we can see. Of course, they've eliminated all of the journalists now, so nobody can remember when we used to be able to see what's going on inside of Gaza back in the day. They have eliminated all of that.
Yeah.
But we know it's 10 times worse because they're not feed. They went from like 400 aid sites to down to 4 now.
And they were killing. They were not only they were killing people at the aid sites, and even when you start not letting in foreign media, they also killed the media that was there. There's so many journalists that got killed in this conflict.
They were killing the aid workers when they would go from site to site. They would find them on the only road to get from point A to point B, and take them out. And like we're having this conversation with people who call themselves Christians, and I just say, look, I can't. Look,
but would this be any better under Biden? If Biden or Kamala Harris had won?
Yes, it would. Yes, they would have told Netanyahu way back in the day, which they had already started doing. They had started talking tough to Netanyahu. Biden had cut off the large munitions. Remember, he had cut off the large munitions. He said, "Y'all doing too much," and he would have cut off their. They would not have continued like that unless Trump got in. Once Trump got in, he had already said finish the mission.
Yeah.
They knew that they had fair game. So for people to be wondering if it would have been any different, I'm not saying that they would have stopped everything, but there definitely wouldn't have been no G-side and all of this stuff going on because somebody would have stepped up. If Kamala was the president, she would have definitely stepped up because she was already talking trash during the election time. Like, no, they cannot do this to those people.
So then let me ask it to you this way, because let's say we get a liberal president in the future sometime. I assume we'll get one again. Benjamin Netanyahu is currently a war criminal. If we get another president in, like a liberal, will they continue maintaining a friendly relationship with Netanyahu? Because the rest of the free world wants to get their hands on Netanyahu. He's a war criminal, except here. So if we get a liberal president, do you think they will honor Interpol or whoever has a warrant out for, Netanyahu's arrest? I mean, he's wanted by a host of countries.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll last that long. I just seen they did a poll over there in Israel, and they said 45 to 50% of the people said that they want this war to come to an end. And that same group also wants Netanyahu out of office.
Yeah, but out of office is different. Out of office is different than being in prison, though. Even if he's out of office, he's still wanted for those crimes that happened under his watch.
I don't know where he could go in the world if his own people want him out of office, that he could escape the wrath of the entire Middle East and the international community.
Wow.
That says he's a war criminal. Where could he go? He could come to America and go somewhere. We've had a couple of dictators and people come here, just off the pasture.
But that's what I'm saying. Will a liberal government in the future, will they still continue viewing him as a friend and letting him come over here?
No. He's been declared in charge of a genocide in front of the whole damn international community. I know we have a narrow view in America of like Israel friend, and all of that stuff. But I'm talking about the entire international community. We are the only people that are saying it's all good. Like he can't even leave his country unless it's to come here to America.
So then I'm wondering because Netanyahu is not like Biden or Trump age. I mean, he's not like super old. Does this end well for him? Will he be allowed to? I mean, obviously he's stuck in Israel, but is it possible this could have a bad ending for him?
I don't want to wish for anything bad to happen to him, but I know that his political career is coming to an end. The moment this war is over, the Israeli people are going to want accountability for what happened on October the 7th. And once everything started coming out about him, he was the one financing, he was financing the Hamas and all of that stuff comes out, and they're going to say, how in the world do these people that we have suppressed for all of this time have the ability to kill 1,200 people? They flying around on little aircraft and stuff, and riding motorcycles and stuff all through, there's going to be the same thing that happens in America when we have an after action committee after any conference, any kind of war or anything like that. They're going to want accountability. How in the hell did you as the leader allow this to happen? And he did the same thing as George Bush did. What? He started a war and he had to keep on. Yeah. The only way
exit strategy.
Bush is Bush left office and allowed other people to take it on. Nobody's going to continue this shit after him. So after this is over, the people are going to want accountability. And he's the head.
That's going to be interesting. Real quick before I move it on from you, I got News Nation on in the background. I see the ticker said, this is breaking news. Judge blocks Trump troop plan. So sending troops to Chicago apparently has been blocked by some judge. Think it's a good thing?
They blocked the stuff. They blocked the stuff everywhere. He's still sending them. He doesn't give a shit. So I would like to say, yeah, somebody's standing up. He don't care. He don't care.
Wow. Cal, always a depressing conversation, but I appreciate you coming on. It's getting more and more depressing every day, but you're always welcome. Appreciate it, man.
All right, take care.
Anytime. Real talk. I did want to address your super duper super chat. Says this is Real Talk on YouTube. Appreciate you coming on to the other side there. I know I don't have to because you are the kind of my elder. Damn. Oh dear. Thanks, sir. You don't really know the inspiration you give ex-street men like me to continue striving to do better. For your information, the space in text seems personal. Thank you. I appreciate that. And by the way, you're going to get some personal conversations in here. But wow, I give folks from the street inspiration. Do better. Wow. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. That is really not only the super chat, but I appreciate the actual text inside. Thank you very much. Don't talk about the past, but my ancestors were treated horribly, says Mike. We discussed the past. I mean, we're renaming bases at the Confederates. That's the past, is it not? We talk about the past. Anyone can be from Africa. Apparently, you guys are talking about the past because somebody says Elon Musk is from Africa as well. He is. He is an African. He's an African American. Elon Musk is. And then the Supreme Court is going to block that judge, allowing him, come on, man, start playing chess. Y'all are on freaking checkers. Well, listen, it ain't that the Democrats are playing checkers. Their hands are kind of tied behind their back. Trump controls all the mechanisms of government. And not only does he control all the mechanisms of government, they're not even pushing back on things that they normally would not favor, like small budget, Trump is not a small, you talk about states' rights. I did a video. I'll keep pushing it because I'm amazed at how much of this shit is coming true. But if any of you folks ever see my YouTube channel, I got a video titled 5 Rights You'll Lose Under Trump and 2 Honorable Mentions. And the first one I said was states' rights. And this was before Jimmy Kimmel. This was right after Stephen Colbert. And I predicted, and this was before what he's talking about now with Antifa and all. I mean, it's amazing at how much stuff. I'm actually surprised myself at how much shit I've said. Appreciate that. Galaxy Real Talk. Shout out to you. It's amazing at how much stuff that I've said that has actually starting to come to fruition. Like one of the things I said is you're likely to lose states' rights. And I know the Republican Party is the party that you often hear talking about the importance of states' rights. But I said under Trump, that is I don't know if I want to call it a right, a privilege, however you view states' rights in this country. That is something you're likely to lose under President Trump, because Trump is a big government guy. Trump wants to run the country, not have 50 governors under him running their own states. He wants to run the country entirely. You're seeing him now. He's only been in office for 9 months, and he's made up 3 different reasons to deploy the National Guard already. He deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles because he claimed that there were riots going on. He deployed the National Guard in D.C. to lower crime. He deployed the National Guard in Portland to help back up ICE, go after Antifa. I mean, he could literally deem anything an emergency and deploy the National Guard. So the point I'm making is, in regards to small government and states' rights, if your state is not doing Trump's bidding, he doesn't like how you're running your state, he can just deem it an emergency and send in the National Guard. Nobody's questioning this stuff. He literally sent the National Guard into Portland, suggesting that the emergency was the city was burning to the ground. That's absolutely false, but he still deployed the National Guard anyway. So what else can he say that's not true and use the National Guard? Your taxation is too high. We believe white people are being mistreated. We believe that gays are taking over and they're, shoving it down kids' throat. Any perceived emergency. It could literally be anything. If you're going to let them deploy the National Guard under the guise that Portland is burning to the ground when you know it's not happening, how are you going to believe it stops anywhere else? So states' rights, I absolutely believe, is on the chopping block or at risk under the Trump administration, because he is making it clear states are being forced to bow down to him now, up to and including threatening not to give states federal funding. You're losing your right as a state governor to do anything. He's taking over it. Very similar to how he took over D.C. that has no governor. And, because it's a federal city, I can do it. Well, he's starting to do it now to states that do have governors. So states' rights is certainly at risk. Looking in the comments before we move on. By the way, tap the screen, folks. Go ahead and get us over that 100,000 hump. We're pretty close. Get us up to 110. I'll go straight to the box if the box comes on up here. And Gangsta Grandma, good evening. Welcome to the program. Can keep up really just stands in front of government buildings, waste of money. They got 60 days. Yeah, I don't see any purpose of that, standing in front of a government building. Why not just have a few feds do that? Or, the police could do that. I don't see the purpose of it. Gangsta Grandma did not come up. We'll go to the next caller. If you want the cheese, you got to pay. You got to play by the rules. Otherwise, don't get the cheese. I don't think Trump is playing by the rules. I think Trump is making the rules. I don't think he's playing by them. I think you got that one a little bit backwards. Arshafine. Oh, no, not a civil war. I don't want any type of civil unrest, but if you start telling states that you're going to demand they pay federal taxes, but you're not going to give them any federal tax money, that's taxation without representation. We've already had civil conflicts over that. Isn't that kind of how the country was founded? We've already had that. So if Trump all of a sudden starts, shutting off federal funding in states like California, Illinois, and New York, where a host of the federal money comes from, the first thing those governors are going to say, well, if you're not going to give us any of our federal funding back when we need it, then we're not going to contribute to it. It makes no sense. We're gonna give money and we're never gonna get it back when we need it. If we have a wildfire or a hurricane or a natural disaster, you're gonna keep the money and it can only go to red states. Then the money should only come from red states. And then, of course, the follow-up is that President Trump sends in federal troops to the blue states to demand the federal money continue. That's how some sort of civil unrest, civil outbreak takes place. That's how it starts doing something like that. Because you got folks that do not want their tax dollars going to give medical care to illegal immigrants. How about your tax dollars going to something that's supposed to be for you and it not coming back? That really would cause some civil unrest. So if that's what they're talking about, it's going to be problematic. I don't know why I'm trying to bring up callers, and for some reason it's the third person. My box does not seem to be working. So let me I may have to temporarily reset the live on TikTok. So bear with me for a second. I'll reset it and see if that, because I can't bring anybody up. And I hate to keep bloviating, but it's not even letting me reset it. Something's wrong here. Let me see here.